Happy birthday, Ghana. What are you going to say?
I was about to say, it's a holiday, but guess what?
We are here.
We're here.
On your screen.
The studio. Yeah, good morning to you. Happy Independence Day 67. But, you know, it makes me think. In Ghana, in Nipa. In Campepe, so we dream, you know. In Koya, Bakokra, and I say, Abrewa. Nankana sitting in the same. What do you say? Ghana month. If Ghana were a human being at 67, pensioned off, retired, what would Ghana have looked like? What do you think?
I think because of the nature of the people, Ghana will still be vibrant.
Ghana will still be vibrant.
Be active.
Young.
I don't know if you'll be rich and wealthy, but you still be able to move around and do the things that would love to do.
Okay.
But Benjamin, let's get straight into our proverbs because I just let
no. Before we do the proverbs, there's something I need us to discuss. Okay. So Ghana 4, I don't know whether it's telepathy or whatever it is, but I get into the studio every day and I realize that Yellow Sisi has on something reminiscent. And now people are beginning to say, look, are you guys intentionally? We're not intentionally.
No, it's not.
Seriously, we are not intentionally. I got in today, realized she had some lemon green.
I was trying to do red, yellow, green, but I couldn't find anything yellow. So I went for lemon green. I don't know why you chose this lemon green.
Anyway, but here we are. I guess it also says something about our combo, right? On to our proverbs now. What do you have for us today?
What
does that mean?
You don't point to your hometown, where you're from, with your left hand.
Okay. So deeper meaning.
Deeper meaning, appreciate your beginning and do not look down on where you started from.
Do not despise humble beginnings. Don't despise where you come from.
Yes.
It also feeds into that saying that a prophet is never respected in his own home. In a way.
Yeah.
Well, mine for you today is Tikro Jem Frama Ebu. And a Diakro Jem Frama Ebu. Basically, a tree. You know, when a tree is standing and it's alone and it's taking the air, because of the force of the air, it could break. But if it has other trees around it, then they all absorb the force and each one remains standing on account of. So it's about unity.
It's similar to the one you gave some time ago about
that nearly confused me.
2 heads are better than one.
Exactly.
Right.
That one is seti ko ejina. And there's something else. It's just skipped me because that's not what I prepared for today. But basically to mean that tikro ko ejina.
Okay.
In other words, you can't have one person representing a meeting or having a dialogue. It would be a monologue, so to speak. So today's own, basically, it also reminded me of that saying that if you want to go quickly, go alone. If you want to go far, go with others.
Yeah. We want to go far, and so we are going with you on the show this morning, celebrating 67 years of independence. Happy birthday, Ghana, and to every single Ghanaian. And that's how we welcome you to the AM show. I'm Sweetie Abochi and Benjamin Akako.
What's the lineup for today?
We get into the news, and then the news review, and then AM Sports. But for the news review, political scientist and director for Center for European Studies at the University of Ghana, Dr. Kwame Asasante will be a guest. And of course, Muftar Nabil Abdullahi will be here to present a segment on AM Sports.
And right after that, of course, we're heading to Koforidua. It's Independence Day. It's a day to celebrate our escape from the claws of slavery. Or are we really celebrating that? Are we truly independent? That's the question. And today we'll be interacting with lawmaker for Bole Bamboy, Yusuf Suleimana on that.
And we've got a conversation on the LGBTQI plus bill and what the minority will do if President Akufo-Addo doesn't assent to it. Does it look like he will? Well, we'll also look at the ministerial vettings as well. Yesterday, we know that the ministerial appointees face Parliament Vetting Committee. So we've got our tabs on that for you later on in the show.
Ejapa Mercer,
Lydia Al-Hassan.
Together with a few others were there. And they were being, I don't know whether they were grilled like tilapia, but they were being, here and there. I like the first question for Ejapa Mercer, somewhere in there. Does his name have anything to do with the Ejapa deal? I found that funny, by the way. But we have more conversations. We'll have a conversation with some young minds on the Ghana they want. What is the Ghana you want as a young person? Is this how you want the country to be? Well, they'll be sharing with us what their expectations are of a leadership.
And we've got our tabs on Koforidua as we check its preparedness to host this year's Independence Day celebrations.
And today, being a Wednesday still, courtesy of EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank, will come your way with AM Business. Now, Ghana has been said to be likely to lose more than $100 million in additional revenue due to not processing all the raw cashew nuts produced in the country. We'll bring you details on that later on the show. And do you know that I'd actually worked in the cashew value chain?
Okay.
I know a lot about that industry. So this is of interest to me.
A chance for you to demonstrate your vast knowledge cashew industry. Right, that's how I welcome you to the AM show. It's a holiday, so I think Benjamin and I are in a holiday spirit, but stay with us from now till 10 a.m. We are your hosts, and we're about to start the show with the news. Good morning.
Say we all day matter inside, we all they suffer. Something they cause me, they cause you, they cause your son and daughter. Where we all feel come together and try to sort each other. Then you go turn around and sell out just because of dollar. Man just they think how fast he go fetch up something today. Forget about him, people, make them find them our own way. Forgetting jealous. It's too high to see suffering below him, too far away. Them get eyes, but them know they see. Them get hot, but them know they feel. Some too they get mind, but them know they think. That be why we all day inside a boat where we they sink. I say them get eyes, but them know they see. Them get hot, but them know they feel. Some too they get mind, but them know they think. That be why we all day inside a boat where we they sink. Myopia, they know they see nothing. Ice cold heart, they know they feel nothing. Bad minds, all they know they think about you. That be why we all day inside the boats where we they sink. I say, myopia, they know they see nothing. Ice cold heart, they know they feel nothing. Bad minds, all they know they think about you. That be why we all day inside the boat where we they sink. I say them get eyes, but them know they see. Them get hot, but them know they feel. Some too they get mind, but them know they think. That be why we all day inside a boat where we they sink. I say them get eyes, but them know they see. Them get hard, but them know they feel. Some do they get mind, but them know they think. Why we all day inside the boats where we the same call.
This is the AM News on the AM Show. Now the details. The minority in Parliament say they are confident they can marshal two-thirds majority in Parliament to veto President Akufo-Addo if he formally informs Parliament of his decision not to sign the anti-gay bill into law. The President, in an interaction with the diplomatic community, signaled his intention not to sign the bill until the Supreme Court resolves disputes before it. He is, however, yet to officially inform Parliament of what he will do as the bill is yet to reach his desk. Deputy Minority Whip Ahmed Ibrahim says he expects the bill to get to the President in the next week and the House will get two-thirds majority to veto him. Parliamentary Affairs correspondent Kweku Asante reports.
The controversial anti-gay bill is yet to land on the desk. He has already signaled his intent not to sign it, but that is not formal. When it does land on his desk, he has 7 days to signal to Parliament whether or not he is going to sign it, and also within 14 days tell Parliament why he is not going to do that. Parliament can use Article 106 and by two-thirds majority veto the President on that. Already, the minority say they are marshalling forces to be able to get two-thirds majority in Parliament to veto the President and get the controversial anti-gay bill to become law.
He will get it by this Monday, Tuesday. It's within 7 days he will get it.
Okay. So he's telling you what he's likely going to tell you that he's going to do. Do you think that if this push comes to shove, you get two-thirds majority to be able to veto the President?
We will get it more than necessary.
How sure are you?
Very, very sure. When the Speaker put the question that who among us was against the bill, what was the numbers? 275 or 275? Or you have a contrary view?
Ahmed Ibrahim, who is also the first Deputy Minority Whip, alleged that the former majority leader, Seche Mensah-Bonsu, was removed as majority leader because he supported the controversial anti-LGBTQ bill.
You remember the security architecture of the Speaker were even withdrawn. At the point the Speaker was naked, then he still pursued and said that I'm a Catholic. And Catholic, we have values and principles. Then you come to the Speaker was the first casualty. The second casualty was the majority leader, Honorable Seche Mensah-Bonsu. He is a member of the Assemblies of God. And he pursued, you remember, he did not only support, he sponsored a lot of amendments. And when it was clear that there was nothing the President could do, he changed him.
Member of Parliament for Ningo Pram Sam George, on the floor of Parliament while debating, said the President was putting the interest of foreign powers ahead of that of Ghanaians.
What is the state of our nation? Are we proud of our democracy? Because, Mr. Speaker, when the President looks at us as a nation and tells us that he is more concerned about the so-called friends of Ghana, and for that reason, the sovereignty of this Parliament is being called into question relative to the family values bill that we have passed. Mr. Speaker, I am truly worried the kinds of friends the President keeps.
MP for Ashaman, Enes Nogbe, says this suit that has been filed by Richard Sky in the Supreme Court challenging the constitutionality of the bill passed and the process through which it was passed is just a political tool, and the Supreme Court must dismiss same.
What are you taking to court? So it can only be politically motivated. That is how I see it. That's how I see it. So I'm sure if the Supreme Court, I am not a lawyer though, but I'm sure if the Supreme Court should look into the matter, the merit of the matter, and take away their political lenses and do a due diligence on this matter, the case should be thrown out. It shouldn't be even entertained.
We now expect that in the next 1 week, the President, Akufo-Addo, will be seized fully with this bill and then can formally write to Parliament to tell them that because of these suits currently pending before the Supreme Court, he's not signing the bill into law. Already, majority MPs are tight-lipped about this situation, none of them willing to go ahead of the President. A lot of them telling me off the record, they first want to know the strategy of their President and their leadership before they will commit themselves on this matter. Ultimately, this is being reduced to a political matter, and the Catholic Bishops' Conference have already warned that the NPP government may suffer at the poll in 2024 if this bill does not become law. Reporting for Joy News, Kweku Asante, Parliament House, Accra.
Ranking Member on Parliament Appointments Committee, Kasela Toforson, has called for an immediate audit into a contract signed between the Ghana Revenue Authority and Digital City Solutions. GRA in December 2022 announced a partnership with Metropolitan, Municipal and District Assemblies to collect property rates on behalf of the assemblies. But it has emerged at the Appointments Committee that the contract, which was ceded to a third party, Digital City Solutions, to execute, has been cancelled without any accountability. There's more in the following report.
According to the Member of Parliament for Ho Central, Benjamin Podo, the Ghana Revenue Authority entered into an agreement with the assemblies through the local government ministry to collect property tax on behalf of the assemblies. That contract was supposed to pay a percentage of the revenue back to the assemblies. During the vetting of local government minister-designate Martin Ajay Mensah-Kosa, Benjamin Podo raised concerns about the status of the deal.
The ministry, in collaboration with either GRA or Ministry of Finance, signed a contract with a third party called City Solutions to collect property rates and share between them and the assemblies. That's what I'm asking. What will he do about this? Is he going to do the same thing?
The minister-designate said the contract was cancelled 9 months into its implementation because most of the assemblies pulled out of the contract, complaining that they were not getting their share of the revenue.
My understanding of that agreement was to add technology to enhance the collection. But as we speak now, with the chairman, there is a reversion. The government has reverted to the assemblies, the directive that the assembly should continue collecting it because there were challenges in the implementation and the contract has been cancelled. But for now, the assemblies are back in control in collecting these property rates.
Ranking member on the committee, Kasela Toforson, said the nominee, if approved, must take interest in auditing the deal.
Has your ministry conducted any form of audit with the private company since the private company took over that mandate and collected revenue on behalf of the disassemblies? Have you conducted any form of audit?
Thank you very much, Honorable Chair. The arrangement stood between GRA and, for that matter, Minister of Finance and the private company. And so that will be within their purview.
Do you know why this contract was abrogated?
No, I don't know that.
Has it come to your attention that some of these MMDAs were complaining that they were not getting what they are supposed to get from this private company?
Yes, that has come to my attention. But beyond that, I believe there were some other technical issues.
Will you, if approved, take steps to get the monies due this assembly from this private company back to them?
Very much so, Honorable Chair. I will commit to do that.
Can I take it as an assurance?
Very much so.
Another issue that came up was the shooting of some persons during the 2020 election. elections. Martin Ajay-Mensah-Kosa says, as an MP, he has done enough to compensate families of the victims.
Personally, I undertook to support the families. So together with some friends, there was a request made of us from one of them. We extended it to both of them. A 5-bedroom house is being put up almost at near completion stages to support the families. The hospital bills were supported with, and we continue to support them because we have become family, more or less, after the event. I mean, I relate very well with them on a daily basis. I believe I recall my last vetting when one of them was in here to support me. So, Mr. Chairman, anything material we have done, but to also add that cannot bring back the lives lost. So, for me, the lessons to be learned and the fact that we should guard against this are more paramount to me than the personal support that we've given to these families.
On the discussion about the newly passed anti-LGBTQI bill, Minister for Tourism designate Andrew Ejapa-Mensah said government must promote domestic tourism to avert any implication of the bill on the tourism sector.
I mean, our culture is our culture. Ultimately, all I can say is that it definitely will have an impact one way or the other. Some people who believe that lifestyle should be allowed everywhere may find Ghana not an attractive place. Some people who believe in our culture would find Ghana an attractive place. And so it all comes down to how you market Ghana and what it is that we offer to the world. The listing that we have, that we are encouraging people to visit our country as opposed to others. And of course, like my good friend, Chief Whip on the minority side indicated, if you promote domestic tourism, that then helps you to deal with whatever shortfalls or issues that may arise from some lack of interest because of this law.
The committee resumes sitting on Thursday to vet ministers designate for information, health, DOT, and Greater Accra regions. James Aveji's report read to you.
Now, Member of Parliament for Dom Kwabinya, Adwoa Safo, hopes the 13th African Games will serve as an opportunity for the country to showcase its food and culture to the world. She made a comment after Minister for Youth and Sports, Mustafa Yusuf, addressed Parliament. There's more in the following report.
The African Games, formerly known as the All-African Games, is a continental multidisciplinary pan-African sports event held every 4 years. It is exclusively funded by the African Union on behalf of member states. Member of Parliament for Dom Kwabinya, Adwoa Safo, believes the tournament is an opportunity to promote Ghana as a gateway to Africa. She also urged food vendors, hotels and Airbnbs to explore the economic benefits of the event.
Mr. Speaker, as we host athletes, as we host guests, as we host people from all parts of the world, we have to be able to take advantage of what they come in here to do in terms of economic activity. Our women that will be selling food, our women that will be selling drinks, water, everything. Everybody who comes in here to watch the games or to witness what happens with the games would have to lay his or her head somewhere. It means accommodation and our real estate industry will be boosted during this period.
4,000 athletes are expected to participate in 23 sporting disciplines. Minister for Sports, Mustafa Yusuf, says Ghana is ready to host what will be a successful tournament.
Mr. Speaker, the Ministry of Youth and Sports intensifies supervision of the local organizing committee to deliver on its technical, managerial, administrative, and organizational role. Additionally, obligatory preparatory review meetings and capacity building activities have been held to ensure timely delivery of the games.
MP for Kwanswayam, George Mrekuduka, stressed the importance of publicizing the event since most Ghanaians do not even know about it.
How many people in Ghana have heard of this event? Mr. Speaker, as I speak with you or to the people of Ghana, my constituents, most of them don't know about this African Games that is being held here. And I'm using this medium to humbly ask colleagues, as we take part in events tomorrow, we use the opportunity to educate our people about the event.
The MPs say this is the time to connect with fellow Africans and rekindle the Pan-African spirit. Zuleha Nuhu's report read to you.
Flag bearer of the National Democratic Congress, John Dramani Mahama, has shared in the frustration of soya farmers over claims of poor pricing of their produce following a ban on exportation of the products. According to the former president, who is also a farmer, the product, which sells at 460 cedis a bag, is unable to cover the cost of production. Nanaya Ojima was at a town hall meeting at Tamale as part of the Building Ghana tour of the NDC and filed this report.
The ban on export of soya took effect in 2021, aimed at ensuring local millers are able to have year-round supply of soya bean to feed the poultry industry. Hitherto, the local millers faced strong competition from foreign buyers, driving prices to about 600 cedis of 100 kilogram worth of soya bean. According to leadership of the farmers, it costs between 450 cedis and 460 cedis for 100 kilogram of the product, which is unable to make up for the cost of production. They say market for the product has continued to diminish.
Surely they are there to buy, but sometimes you will hear that they don't have money, they are waiting for money to come. So, and the grain is the bank of the farmer. You should be able to pick it at any moment and be able to sell to solve your problems. So if you bring it out and say, oh, today we don't have money, it's a problem.
Former President Mahama shares in their frustration as he tells the country to receive public inputs in drawing the NDC's 2024 manifesto. He explains how the present ban on exportation of the product has negatively affected his earnings.
If you look at the diesel I use in the tractor, the salaries I paid my farm hands, the inputs, the weedicide and all that I bought, then it means that we're not really breaking even. But if we're allowed to export and the price went up, it will make us put more land under soya bean cultivation. It will make us expand the acreage under soya bean so that we can produce more. And when we produce more, the price will come down naturally. And so I agree with you that that export ban is hurting the farmers because the price at which they are buying the soya bean from us does not encourage us to expand production of soya bean. So I'm thinking of putting my land under another crop next year. I've started a pilot onion production. I did 20 acres and I'm getting about 60 bags of onion per acre, and each bag of onion costs 1,000. I can sell for 1,400 cedis, and so I'm probably better off farming onion and leaving soya bean, and that's what I'm saying. Let it find its natural price.
Meanwhile, the Ghana Association of Soya Bean Farmers and Aggregators is proposing the government invest in the sector to drive production. Abdul Hakim Issa is Director of Administration.
Ghana has the capacity of producing about 1.5 million tons in a year, but currently we are doing less than 250,000 tons a year. So our problem is that government should increase investment into the sector. We have army of unemployed youth in Ghana, and we have arable lands situated when there is nothing happening on those lands. So we are of the view that government should support the production so that people who are sitting without jobs will find something to do with those arable lands.
For Joy News, Nanaya Ojima reporting.
Away from that, management of the Evangelical Presbyterian College of Education in Amejope in the whole West District of the Volta region has lamented the lingering infrastructural deficits of the institution. The principal, Dr. Dixon Che, indicates the school needs an ultra-modern auditorium and its access and inner campus roads developed to uplift its status. He was speaking at the matriculation ceremony for students admitted for the 2023 and 2024 academic year.
240 students were enrolled to pursue a Bachelor of Education, Junior High School Education, French, Upper Primary and Early Grade. Females constituted 52% of the total number, in line with the institution's gender inclusion policy. Dr. Dixon Che is the principal of the Evangelical Presbyterian College of Education in Amejope.
The college continues with its policy of giving the opportunity of tertiary education to women through the gender inclusive policy, which we have been great advocates of, as well as applicants from less endowed schools on concessionary basis. I want to therefore use the opportunity to appeal to the government, the alumni, individuals and other stakeholders to help construct a befitting auditorium for the college. Secondly, we want to use the opportunity once again to remind government to help us construct the road leading to the college and the college internal roads which are not in good shape.
He announced that a scholarship scheme has been instituted to promote academic excellence.
As part of the deliberate plan to support serious students and also to inculcate in them the spirit of academic competition and excellence, the college academic board has approved management's decision to institute a scholarship scheme for all students who are desirous of getting academic laurels, either for themselves or for the institution. It is the conviction of management that this scheme will serve as a catalyst to help you to be more studious and raise the image of the college higher in all fields of endeavor.
The college furnished the female hostel with a 10-seater modern toilet facility to enhance sanitation on the campus. Fred Kwame Asari, Joy News, Amejope.
And now the premier platform for commuters' narratives, Trotro Diaries, has joined forces with Joy Prime for a television adaptation. This collaboration will extend the reach of Trotro Diaries' candid conversations and insightful narratives to a wider audience, addressing crucial topics such as road safety and the daily challenges of public transportation.
Okay, so I'll be coming to your place tonight, okay? I'll come and pick you out, don't worry. Don't worry, everything is on me.
With a dedicated focus on capturing the essence of Ghana's transportation network, Trotro Diaries, which is powered by Obibini Innovation, has emerged as a digital haven for commuters to share their stories, discuss road safety, and advocate for positive change. Now teaming up with Joy Prime, Trotro Diaries is set to elevate its mission to bring commuter stories to television, expanding its reach and impact. This partnership offers exciting opportunities to connect with audiences nationwide, making transportation issues more accessible and engaging. The official partnership agreement between Joy Prime and Trotro Diaries has been signed following successful discussions. General Manager for Joy Brand, Fifi Kumsin, and representatives from Trotro Diaries came together to solidify this exciting collaboration, marking a significant milestone in bringing commuter stories to television screens nationwide.
So we believe that we have to make what is significant, interesting, and relevant to our audiences. And we are very excited about this partnership. We believe that in our quest to give our audiences exciting content, Trotro Diaries has come work together to excite the audiences of Joy Prime and those on the multimedia platform.
Adwoa Safo, the visionary behind Trotro Diaries, offers insights into the platform's mission and future as it embarks on the partnership with Joy Prime to bring commuter stories to television screens across Ghana.
We're excited to be here today. It's basically how we can give a voice to commuters. So on one side, the transport operators have GPRTU, Protour and all that. We wanted to build a community that could advance the interest of commuters. So we'll be talking about road safety, we'll be talking about sanitation, various modes of transportation. This is what we're going to be discussing, and we hope that the people will come along with us. The past 13 years, we've been building an amazing community on social media. We currently have a member base of about 500,000 on Trotro Diaries. But now we want the conversation to even go further. And so that's why we're partnering with Joy Prime to bring it onto TV, so that we can take the conversation beyond online onto TV, as well as see what other opportunities are there. So for those that have been on Trotro Diaries online, we are coming home to Joy Prime, and we're inviting you guys to join us.
Tune in to the TV adaptation of Trotro Diaries for a diverse lineup, including interviews, reports, and discussions on transportation. Trotro Diaries and Joy Prime are committed to amplifying commuter voices and reshaping the transportation narrative in Ghana.
Well, that's how we wrap up for the AM News on the AM show. Up next is the news review. Benjamin and I are back on your screens for that. Please stay with us.
In a world where digital threats loom large, it's time to unite for a common cause. Don't miss this opportunity to be part of the solution with the Joy News Youth Braid Foundation National Dialogue on Cybersecurity. It's on Tuesday, the 12th of March 2024 at the EcoBank Head Office Auditorium, Accra at 9 a.m. prompt. Catch the dialogue live on Joy News, Joy 99.7 myjoyonline.com, and on all our social media handles. It's an exclusive opportunity to contribute to a safer digital future for all. Our distinguished panel includes the Director General of the Cybersecurity Authority, Dr. Albert Mpibuesiako, CEO, Hydra Cybersecurity, Kwame Odro Numapao, Director General of the Ghana Education Service, Dr. Eric Nkansa, Director General of the Ghana Health Service, Dr. Patrick Kumabwaji, CEO of the Ghana Enterprise Agency, Mrs. Kosi Yankee Aye, CEO of the National Identification Authority, Professor Ken Atefua, and the Head of IT at the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission, Jacob Tete Akono. It will be hosted by Benjamin Akakpo of Joy News. It's more than just a dialogue, it's a call to action. Let's come together to address one of today's most urgent digital challenges. Join us as we explore strategies to fortify protocols, safeguard citizens' vulnerabilities, and support governmental initiatives such as the National Cybersecurity Act 2020, Act 1038.
This is essentially where all the finishing work is done.
Yes, this is the finishing area where sanding, painting, polishing, spraying happens. We're working on a tabletop here, so the surface has been sanded and sprayed, and then we'll give it some time to dry. You can see they're using different grades of sandpaper to work on the tables. She's applying paint to the work that she's doing. And there's a whole lot that happens. There's metal work that happens. We work with cowries, jute, etc. Indigenous material that adds it gives character to the product, essentially. All of that takes place here.
One of Tekura's most patronized products is the djembe stool, a beautifully designed modern side table inspired by the shape of the djembe West African drum. It was featured in Marvel's Black Panther movie Wakanda Forever, bringing attention to the Ghanaian business. This Wednesday on the Joy Business Van, on TV, radio, online and on ground. The Joy Business Van, powered by Joy Business and supported by EcoBank, the Pan-African Bank and MTN. What are we doing today?
The race to Jubilee House is on. Ghana is at a crossroads.
It's time again for the people to choose, and the world is watching.
In a nation where every vote counts, every voice matters, there's one name you can trust for your election coverage.
Joy News, your election headquarters.
A team of seasoned journalists will bring you up-to-the-minute updates, unbiased analysis, and the stories behind the headlines.
Your election headquarters brings you Joy News 2024 election
on the Joy FM Super Morning Show, the AM show on the Joy News channel, and all our social media platforms.
The election headquarters for an informed electorate. Joy News, independent, fearless, credible.
Welcome back. Time now for the news review, and you have the tag team right here in the studio, Sweetie Abochi and
Benjamin Akakpo.
I nearly got you there,
I nearly forgot my name.
And we also have joining the conversation Dr. Kwame Asa-Asante. He is a political scientist, also director of the Center for European Studies. But before we get into that, we're serving you Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic as well, because guess what? They're offering you, if you're a man, today a lot more of you are at home watching us. If you're a man, you've never checked your prostate out before. Chale, tubo, so you need to take good care of your health. That's the maintenance we do for our bodies. Then again, if you're a woman and fertility checks, one check that. We want you to check yourself out. And all of these being profit for you and offered for free. All you need to do is head to any of the branches of Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, and they are all over the place. Let's start with here in Accra. They are at Spintex, opposite the Shell signboard. Then in Kumasi, Chronum Abwehia behind the Angel Educational Complex. There's Takra Deanaji State. There's also Tema Community 22, Techiman Hanswa, and Esiama and Zema. If you'd like to call them, these are the numbers: 0244 867 068. That is 0244 867 068, or 0274 234 321. 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. But just the start of the news review, let me bring in Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante. Doc, good morning. Can you hear me, Dr. Asah-Asante?
Yes, good morning, Ben.
Good morning, it's good to have you. I am here with Sweetie Abochi, and we'll be having this breakfast. I don't take coffee.
Morning,
I nearly said
sister.
coffee, but I don't take coffee. So, oh, you do? Yeah. Okay, so yeah, we can still have. You'll have coffee. Yeah. I'll have Ovaltine.
Okay.
And then, Doc, what will you have this morning? How's a cocoa?
Cocoa.
Oh, cocoa. That's good. So to kickstart matters today, we don't have any papers. We're going to be looking at the major stories and contemplating them. myjoyonline.com, graphic.com, among others. But two things I want to run by you. The first is, what for you are we celebrating today, Independence Day? Do we have anything to celebrate? What should we be celebrating? And what maybe should this remind us of in terms of how far we could have got? Doc.
This is a very tall order, a difficult one. Difficult in the sense that if you look at how far we have come, one would have thought that today we'll be celebrating something that the founders of this day gave to us on the Day of Independence. But is it what we are celebrating? They left us after they've won political independence. They wanted to see how future African black government, Ghanaian government, will further the cause of freedom and provide economic emancipation for the people of this country. Political emancipation for the second time, all right, after the demise of colonial rule. But is that what we are celebrating? They wanted us to celebrate what? Freedom, justice, economic emancipation, and political emancipation. Look at immediately after independence and up to the Fourth Republic. We have been, saddled with military regimes that did us no good. Tied to this, we are also faced with what? Economic challenges. We don't have leaders who have what it takes to be able to address our economic problems. So today, we put in state resources, train people, and we have no benefit. They leave the shores of this country and nothing for us. What a shame. Today, we have people who sell on the streets and that they don't have means of livelihood. Is that a dream that our forefathers had in mind? Is that what they envisage for a country that they want to call their own? Today, we'll sit down and as if there are no leaders in the country. Our ecosystem is destroyed with impunity. Our political system is destroyed with corruption. What we see broad daylight, politicians are doling out money for votes, and we go to sleep. Today, resources that are meant for the society are used otherwise. Today, we have a country that almost everything we import, including cocoa, Ghana, we are importing some cocoa beans here to shore up what we have to make certain cocoa products. It's very, very shameful. It's very, very shameful. Today, we have sat down for our system have gone down to the extent that programs, projects that our leaders put on table that we will come and continue. We have left them. A typical example is a Pualugu Dam. We should be the game changer that whenever there is any spillage or excess water in the north, it will contain that. It is used for irrigation of arable lands around before it comes to Akosomo, by which time the pressure had come down and then finally to form. Is that the situation? And that is why, one of the reasons why when we get excess, our people in Volta region and other places suffer. Is that what the dream, is it the dream that our forefathers had for us. Safo, in his wisdom, saw that a day will come that hydro will not support us, and we need what? Atomic energy. What has come of the atomic energy project? Put all together, you realize that we are in a very difficult situation. Where are leaders? Corruption, nepotism, favoritism, and above all, hypocrisy, sycophancy have engulfed us, that we can't speak through to power simply because of what we eat. But remember, life is not about food alone. It goes beyond it. It is a necessity, but there are other things that we need as well. And that we have lost people who have what it takes to speak through to power. And that is why we are going where we are. It's unfortunate. But I always, having said all that, I have a hope that the young generation will take a cue and then work to support the older generation who are ready to make sure that we right the wrong. And for me, that is what gladdens my heart. I hope and pray that we will sustain the effort and make sure that we tell ourselves that there is no country except what our forefathers have bequeathed to us, and that it is our duty to defend it by hook or by crook.
Thank you for those initial remarks. And, Sweetie, I just wanted to sneak in this bit as well. Run it by Dr. Kwame Asasanti. You know, when it comes to this LGBTQ bill, it's something that I don't want to forget to talk about. It's interesting because we saw the suit dated yesterday. And Doc, I hope you follow me very clearly on this bit. That suit brought up by...
President Akufo-Addo as his reason.
No, I'm talking about the suit going to the Supreme Court. Okay. The individual who has put this suit. This is what President Akufo-Addo actually said, and I am intentionally not bringing up the issue of the individual, but President Akufo-Addo, speaking to the international community on the 4th day of March 2024, the diplomatic New Year greetings, said, I am aware that, and I'm quoting him here, I am aware that last week's bipartisan passage by Parliament of the Proper Human Sexual Rights and Ghanaian Family Values Bill on a private member's motion has raised considerable anxieties in certain quarters of the diplomatic community and among some friends of Ghana that she may be turning her back on her hitherto enviable long-standing record on human rights observance and attachment to the rule of law. I want to assure you that no such backsliding will be contemplated or occasioned. I think it will serve little purpose to go at this stage into the details of the origin of this proposed law, which is yet to reach my desk. But suffice it to say that I have learned that today a challenge has been mounted at the Supreme Court by a concerned citizen to the constitutionality of the proposed legislation. In the circumstances, it would be as well for all of us to hold our hands and await the decision of the court before any action is taken. The operation of the institutions of the Ghanaian state will determine the future trajectory of the rule of law and human rights compliance in our country. But what's interesting, the president, a number of things. One, says, let's wait for the Supreme Court to rule on the matter before I decide which way to go, on advice. But if you go back to March 2022, President Akufo-Addo signed the e-levy bill into law despite a suit at the Supreme Court. That's one. Then two, people have asked, Mr. President made these comments to the international community, the diplomatic missions, the core, on the 4th. This suit that was filed by an individual at the Supreme Court was filed on the 5th, the technical documents, on the 5th. So people have asked, how did the president know about this suit? And was he a prophet to be able to talk about the suit in anticipation of its happening? It's left a lot of people scratching.
Maybe he used some means that is not accessible to the rest of the populace to know that there will be a suit like this in court. So, I mean,
and you know what else is interesting? What else is interesting is that Alexander Afenyo-Marking, speaking in Parliament, had encouraged that an individual should go forward, a specific individual should go forward and challenge this at the Supreme Court. And if you look at his chambers and everything, there are some, I don't want to draw lines, but there are some connections. There's a nexus. So, Doc, the question that is people have asked is this whole bit about the finance ministry saying we'll lose this much and all of that. Is it the system, the NPP, from the president himself, deciding not to go along with the wishes of what all of Parliament has said? What is your take on that?
I think that I will want to hold all my hopes and then wait for the Supreme Court to make a determination. And then we can have a lively conversation on this issue. After all, the debate is so on. It's not going to die down now. But let's hold on and then let the Supreme Court speak and we'll come in. You know my position on these things when the issues are before court.
The issue is before court, but at least the fact that the president prognosticated even before the fact, what does that tell you?
Well, my understanding is that the president want to wait for the Supreme Court to speak.
Yes, but he based his waiting on the fact that the Supreme Court would do this. On the day he was speaking, there was no such suit there.
Well, I have no knowledge about this, but I believe that once now it is public knowledge, that is before the Honorable Court, I want to wait.
All right.
But in fact, right, so I'm thinking that statement that the president gave out was quite verbose and in a way trying to avoid directly saying that he's not ready to assent to this bill.
That's what you think? That's
what I think. Because you go around and say that you want to assure us that we are not turning back on our cultural values and
he's basically talking about more of human rights erosion because Virginia Palmer, the American ambassador, had said a few things and all of that.
Even the Vice President Kamala came and talked about the bill and he had his own responses. So President Akufo-Addo has been in a tight corner when it comes to this bill. But how much of it is just showmanship? How much of it is just for television? How much of it is just for press work?
Cosmetic.
How much of this LGBTQ shenanigans and the mannerisms, or the mechanisms that's surrounding passing this bill into law is actually real and in the interest of the populace, in the interest of Ghanaians, and how much of it is just for their own benefit, so that internationally they can be recognized as or seen as doing something in line of human rights and all that.
But so two things to consider.
I think I have some, listen to my sister. I think I disagree.
Okay.
Because in spite of all that the president has said, do you think if finally, at the end of the day, after the Supreme Court has spoken and the president signs it into law, would we still hold this position? I think let's wait. The journey has just started. So I want to wait for the court and that, after the court, then we'll see when the bill has been sent to the president and all that. Then the conversation follows.
All right. And, this is supposed to test the constitutionality of the bill.
Yeah.
Right? Parliament still has leeway.
Okay.
Regardless. Yes. Because in the end, if it secures 2/3 majority in Parliament, whether the president gives his assent to it or not, it can make it law.
Right.
And as Kweku Asante reports from Parliament, there are a lot of people on the majority side who are upset about even when the finance ministry came up to talk about some of these things. It was as though they were laying the grounds for something that, hey, if you go this way, and I do accept, but some would also say, if you feel this way, then don't accept quote unquote gay money. And I use this very respectfully, not to denigrate anybody. I've never been for denigrating anybody. But some have said that some of these countries and all of that who espouse this, you take their money. You accept aid, grants, loans from them. If you don't want this, then how about Ghana beyond aid? You see where that comes in. But those are the interesting questions. Let's get into it.
It has not really gotten to a stable yet. So let's just wait and see, like Dr. Kwame Asante said. Let's wait and see how we play. It's his move now. So let's see how he plays it. Benjamin, you're too excited for this.
Me, I can sit here and dance. I'm not in the hot seat.
What I want to get a sense of, both you, Benjamin, and Dr. Kwame Asante, about Ghana spending $195 million on infrastructure for the 13th African Games. That is according to the sports minister. The story says Mustafa Yusuf, the youth and sports minister, has confirmed that a total of $195 million, let me mention that figure again, $195 million spent on infrastructure development in preparation for the 2023 African Games, which is scheduled to take place on Thursday. Have you seen the University of Ghana Stadium? And do you think that it can be valued at this figure, $195 million, Dr. Kwame Asasante?
Oh, I am not an expert in this area, but I have no doubt in my mind that those who are technical officers will do the right thing. So, for me, I have very little to say in that direction. Since I'm not a technical officer, and I hope that what I see, the edifice and all the things that have gone there, yes, I'm sure they budgeted for all these things, and that will move on. There's nothing wrong with people wanting to know the value and all that and all that. It's part of the accountability system, which is part and parcel of our constitution in the preamble and all that. So people ask whatever questions people want to ask. I'm sure there are answers for them.
All right. I am just checking, interestingly, and I'm going to have to use Google on this. I just checked the cost of the Emirates Stadium, right? Emirates, Arsenal. I came up with £390 million. Let me check the cost of the Camp Nou. That's Barcelona's. I just want to check a few things in here. It was dated at around, so the cost, $414 million as of April 2023. $414 million, 360 million euros. Let's do the last one, Old Trafford. It's not seen, of course, there have been renovations as well, but I'm just giving ballpark figures. So that might be a bit complicated.
The detailed breakdown, according to
please give
he
us
says that $145 million was invested in the construction of a state-of-the-art sports center at the Boteman
Sports Complex.
And then there's $34 million that was directed towards renovating, $34 million, renovating the University of Ghana Stadium, and then $16 million was earmarked for the refurbishment of the Games Village. So that's the breakdown of where the $195 million went into when it comes to infrastructure for the African Games.
I've seen part of the breakup right before we bring the breakdown right before we bring in Dr. Asasante one more time. And the only thing I am asking, like we've seen from Gold Coast, Australia, and that incident to everything in between. If you look at these figures, so University of Ghana Stadium, $34 million. You have Boteman Sports Complex, $145 million. The Games Village, $16 million. And we are not talking about cedis. We are talking dollars, right? How much are we getting? How much are we getting in each tranche of the IMF? 600 million. Now you put all of this together, you are looking at what? Almost 190 million Ghana cedis, almost 200 million. That's about a third of what we keep going every 6 months or so. We're expected to get from the IMF. My question, when we come out with this expenditure, the sports complex, Boteman, $145 million. University of Ghana Stadium, $34 million. I would have questions about the University of Ghana Stadium. I use that place, I look at it, I look at that place. You may say, I'm not a technical person, but I have eyes, okay? Now, what would serve me is to give me a breakdown. We did this, that. I don't need to come to the ministry for this breakdown to be given. In other jurisdictions like Japan and other places where people want to do what is right and not hide behind stuff, these are given. Now we hear that the head of the National Sports Authority, Prof. I don't want to go into that issue, but he's finally out of that position.
Finally,
Charlie, the things that have happened, and let me leave it there.
Right.
I think our sports, I said it yesterday, is one of the avenues where, theft, grand
looting
theft happens.
Yeah.
And I want to see a breakdown for this. It shouldn't be another instance like with our Black Stars, we spent this on that. How did you expend the money?
Well,
who got what? When? How?
He says we're anticipating about 2 billion, people or audience, and the 2 billion people's eyes will be on Ghana. So it needs to be some sort of
now Africa
population,
you're saying. If you are saying now your population, you're saying
$5 million, Benjamin. Hey.
Dr. Asante, I don't know whether you have any further comments. If not, we shall move on.
My comments, I still maintain them because these things are technical issues, but it's fair that people want to demand accountability and all that. Yes, these are legitimate questions, but you need that. Somebody like me, I need a technical eye to be able to understand, apart from the fact that they can also supply us the information for us to know. So it's fair when people demand it, but you need to be a technical person to speak from the point of view of authority.
Okay. Other stories you'd like us to get into?
Let's get into your stories, Benjamin.
Okay. Let me get on myjoyonline.com. Lots of stories there, definitely, that would have to do right before that. Okay, so yeah. Anti-LGBTQ plus bill. President is being constitutionally reckless. He's playing tricks on us. That's according to an MP. So, according to that story, a co-sponsor of the Human Sexual Rights and Family Values Bill, Roxanne Nelson Dafiamakbo, believes President Akufo-Addo is toying with constitutional requirements as far as the power vested in him to assent to the bill is concerned. The Member of Parliament representing the South Dai constituency in the Volta region is not the least enthused about the President's stance on the bill after its passage by Parliament. And of course, it goes back to what I read earlier, what President Akufo-Addo said to the international community. And according to Dafiamakbo, he says, where you have a strong disposition to not assenting to a bill, it is not your business under law to keep it. Perhaps your reservation about the bill is in respect of some provisions or the entire bill. Just say so to Parliament. That's what he says. And then you would also say assent to anti-LGBTQI plus bill. Africa is watching you. Kofi Amwa to Akufo-Addo. So lots of stories on that bit also before the Supreme Court. Any other stories you'd like to do? Or should
we can talk briefly about sustaining the Ghana school feeding program. We've had still yet to air documentary on the free SHS, especially when it comes to feeding, but because we're having a lot of reactions to it, the conversation of why the need to respond to something when you haven't actually, you've not seen the full content that's, and what it speaks to. So there have been some views of whether they should take out boarding from this free SHS system to allow the money to be allocated to proper feeding of our students. Dr. Kwame Asasante, I don't know what you think about it when it comes to feeding and the nature of the quality of the food that they're serving our students or children in school under the free SHS policy. We're not saying the policy in itself is bad. Maybe it's just the challenges that come with implementation and perhaps budget allocation and where the money goes.
And I don't know whether Doc has seen the videos,
the promos,
some of what we've put out, the promos, and some complaints from different schools. I have seen the food and I've asked myself, would you give this food, I'm sorry to say this, even to your pet? Would you give this food to your pet? Doc, you are in academia. I don't know what you think.
I think I commend Joy FM for that good program that you are airing now, the documentary. It is nothing but something, food for thought, so to speak, for us to know that all is not well. I am so happy in the sense that just last year, following conversation, in fact, I did not know that there were a lot of problems within the system until a colleague of mine gave me an idea that, hey, we buy food, we do this. And I said, really? Is that the case? So I did a few checks and they said, that's the situation. I said, Jesus Christ, is that what is happening? So I was happy when your team went there to the schools and then you started airing out the problems and all that. Free SHS is a good concept. There's no doubt about that. But my worry is that I can see an effort to prevent people from, airing out their views about the system. I don't know where it's coming from. Because if you are outside the school system, you would think that all is well. Until now that look at your documentary and I listen to a story your network carried about Africa Education Watch, their report about the system that even the funding of the school, parents pay more than even the government, what government does.
In fact, Doc, parents, yes. Some parents share that their children come home malnourished, looking rail thin, and that some of these parents tell you that, look, what is it? Then just let us pay and give them proper food, because in the end, every week we are sending them about 100 cedis. Multiply that by the number of weeks they are in school. That's what some parents are saying.
Or make it optional. If
parents
you can
are paying so much, they are spending so much on food, on what? Other things that keep their walls in the school and all that. And yet we are saying that the system is what? Free. What type of contradiction is that? Why are we not honest ourselves that, look, this is what the government can pay? You know, we will accept, because the other option is that government will not pay for anybody and that we have to foot the bill ourselves. So if government is paying something, all right, government should be what? Open enough that, look, those who have the means to pay, please continue and all that. I don't understand. You see, these are all what? Policy issues. If you put a policy into place, after everything, you evaluate the policy from time to time and make sure that the policy live up to expectation. Remember that public policies are driven by what? State resources. And so, if you want to ensure value for money, you all the time what? Do what? An evaluation to come to a certain conclusion, either to terminate the policy or to what? Strengthen it, or to, you know, allow it to roll. This is what. So sometimes I ask myself whether we do understand public policy, whether we are alive to the rudiments of public policy. Because you see a lot of things, they go wrong in the area of what? Policy. A policy of building what? Houses for workers. Now you have buildings in the bush, and that meanwhile we have spent state resources. You put children in school, fine policy. You don't have the means. And then people suggest, look, we are ready to what? Support you. And government, all these things are falling on deaf ears of government. I don't get it. I don't get it. Then you send children to school, and then they are what? Malnourished. Parents are complaining. They send food items to school every now and then and all that. Why? Why do we want to what? Worry ourselves when what? The truth is there, when we need to do just a single thing, and then come back to tie it to school feeding. All right. I always disagree that we should spend so much on school feeding. What has happened to what? School guarding system. School guarding system. Where when I was a student at the Kropong PTC Demonstration Junior Secondary School, we're making farms and we're getting IDF. Secondary school, the tech and go. We saw a lot of farms. Can't you go into what? A production of what? Maize, all the food we need, including what? Poultry, including fish farm and all that. That the school can what? Generate ideas from all these and then support the school and tell government, look, don't bring any money. We are able to take care of ourselves. And then you also what? Generate ideas to run the school and then sell some of these things that the students will not consume to the outside. It is very doable. It is doable that you can begin with what? School guarding system where you plant what? Crops there, depending on the fertility and how suitable those things are fit to grow in that area. You can plant there. You can what? Start what? Fish ponds and begin to provide what? Fish there and poultry, supply eggs and then what? Chicken to the school. And of course, the school cannot consume all this. You sell some to what? Public. And you generate resources. So if we are able to pilot this and start gradually, I tell you, in no time, the government will have its hands free from the secondary schools that is struggling to what? Feed. They will feed themselves and feed other schools who are vulnerable and the rest of them.
Do you know what comes to mind?
I sit down and I hear that, look, paying of electricity bills in these schools are a problem. I ask myself, why should it be a problem? Where we can what? start with what? Solar panels, and then take the screws off the national grid, and then what? See how PTA and or government will be able to fund it. This will save us all problems. Sometimes I ask myself, do we have people who are fit for public office to manage these things? The question I've not been able to answer.
And this just came to mind. I've never actually contemplated this, but this analogy just came to mind, both Doc and Sweetie. Free SHS is like Joseph's coat of many colors. Wonderful outfit, looks very good, right? It is good, and it looks good, but it doesn't fit you. You are bigger than that blazer or jacket, and so we'll say chin. So what will happen? Doc, I don't know, but that's what I think. Wonderful thing, like a jacket, blazer, top class, excellent quality. But what's the change in our I think that's the analogy that comes to
mind. And at the end of the day, you find a way to increase in the cloth. You will never look good in the cloth. That is what is exactly we are seeing. This is a beautiful program, but look, allow suggestions to be made and incorporate into the system and make it work better for us. Policies that are not reviewed are no policies. You put in a policy, part of the policy process is evaluation. And once you evaluate properly, you'll be able to know whether the policy is worth maintaining or worth improving or what jettison.
Right.
You have something, a last thing to do. I was going to talk about the social media's reactions to...
But I wanted to talk briefly about the Minister Designate for Sanitation and her...
Sarah Al-Hassan.
Leader Sarah Al-Hassan. Her reaction to the question of the Adwoa Safo gun violence during the election. And she broke down in tears and said she was in pain during that time. And so really, she didn't understand what is happening. And I'm saying that you're being
because
vetted,
of the bereavement.
Yes, you're being vetted for a position as a minister. You should be able to speak to this issue, I think, without...
You can't take away her bereavement. You can't take away her bereavement from her. She was in pain at the time. She had lost her husband. She was still... But I agree with you to a certain extent that barring your own bereavement, you wanted at that time to replace that same person to be in parliament, and you're saying that these things happen to people. I hear one of those who was shot, and I think he's died or something, and you didn't follow till now. You don't have any.
And we
had a committee on that.
And that's constituency. So
we had a committee sit on that with Justice Mensah Bonsu, among others, on NED. I don't know. I don't know.
So I think that she should have given us more than the emotions, because you went on to be the MP of the constituency. You should be able to say more than just break down in tears. Sometimes this particular story was interesting to me because you hear a lot of people saying women this and women that. It's only a woman who would do something like that. But we are more than capable. It's just sometimes our choice of responses and reactions to some of the issues. Right. So we have to wrap this up.
Were you affected yesterday?
Affected by
the social media blackout, Facebook, Instagram?
Oh no,
I was locked out of my account.
I was at the 13th African Games Aquaba concert, so I was off my phone. It was really fun.
So you wouldn't know?
No, I didn't. I've not checked Facebook and Instagram.
Because I was locked out.
Twitter and WhatsApp have been active. Those I'm very familiar. I go there often. So yeah.
I was locked out. I was told to sign in. Then I felt there was a problem. Then I went on social media and saw that it was a general problem.
Okay.
Doc, any final words for us before you go?
Nothing at the moment. But I believe that, look, we can make this country better if we all put our shoulders to the wheel and do the right thing at all times. We are human. There are mistakes that are bound to happen. But when we commit them, we should be bold enough to say we are sorry and then make sure that we fix it permanently. I have seen something that is going on, and I think we must address it. People removing slabs on gutters, metals, and then roofs. I just checked something as atomic overpass, and the metals used in building the structure, people have removed them. These people are evil men within our society. evil women who undertake this exercise. We are encouraging everybody. When we see them, let's report them.
Yeah.
We can't destroy this state when we have spent so much resources and then we come back to blame government for some of these things.
Right.
We must be vigilant.
We're grateful, and it goes back to, if you see something, say something.
Yeah.
Dr. Kwame Asah-Asante is a political scientist and director of the Center for European Studies. Thank you so much for your time. Happy birthday. This came through yesterday from Peter Senu, our very own Peter Senu, and we are now doing it belatedly. Happy birthday to Dr. Adom George at UCC, University of Cape Coast. Belated happy birthday to you. Right before we get into sports, Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic helping us bring you this segment. They're offering you, if you're a man, prostate screening for free. If you're a woman, fertility screening for free. Reach out to them at any of their branches. Here in Accra, they're at Spintex, opposite the Shell signboard, Kumasi, Konumabwe here behind the Angel Educational Complex, Takra Dea Naji State, Tema, Community 22, Techiman Hanswa, and Esiama Nzama. Their call lines are 0244 867 068 or 0274 234 321. Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic, the end to chronic disease. Stay with us for sports. Up next.
Well, thank you very much for joining us for this special conversation here on Joy Sports and on Joy Prime and Joy News. We're building up to the 13th Africa Games, Accra 2023, and we're looking forward to hopefully getting the best in terms of organization and a showpiece that will be a template, just like in 2008 when Ghana hosted the Africa Cup of Nations and got the whole continent talking. And of course was the template based on which Angola also hosted the 2010 edition of the tournament. Yes, down the line, Ghana is tasked with this responsibility, which is coming for the very first time when it comes to the big multi-sport event. How are we preparing ourselves for this one? Recently, the president of Ghana, commissioned the Botiman Sports Complex, which will have a very big element of the indoor games and some outdoor games as well. And as we are speaking, we're just looking at when the organizing team or the local organizing committee will get these facilities tested adequately ahead of the start of the games, and the official opening ceremony on March 8th of this year. Well, here with me for a conversation as we build up to Africa Games 2023 is Mr. Samson Dean. Mr. Samson Dean, as we all know, is the president of the African Paralympic Committee and also the local head of the Paralympic movement here in Ghana, and has a very big track record when it comes to sports tourism, a specialist area which he's practiced in for many years. He has been tasked with the responsibility of leading the transportation subcommittee of the local organizing committee for the Africa Games. And his duty is to ensure that there's a good and reliable transportation network which will be of massive efficiency to ensure the smooth movement of athletes and officials from place to place. Good to see you again, President.
Thank you. Thank you, citizen, my brother.
Yeah, everything okay. Well, it's been good. And of course, I have to congratulate you again for the organization of the very first African Paralympic Games. It was a build-up to this one, and yourself and the team organized it very well.
Yeah, thank you very much. And I will also have to say a very big thank you to you.
Thank you.
Because you've always been a good brother. You've been guiding us behind the scenes, telling us what to do right and all that, especially with publicity. And with your experience by participating in many games, I think that we have always listened to you, and it's what we are building up with this particular African Games upcoming. So I will say a big thank you to you, and thank you to your audience for giving us this opportunity.
Great. Now, the transportation subcommittee. I have this brochure here, very well authored and very comprehensive as well, has specific details of allocation of vehicles, the type of vehicles that will be used and all of that. We'll be getting into that as well. But before that, I want you to walk me through how things have gone in terms of trying to get this particular aspect of the logistics right and, getting it organized, for the games.
Thank you very much. A very good morning to everyone, your viewers. It has been a very difficult job. I need not say it's easy. It's difficult. I'm happy to be one of many Ghanaians, but one of the few to have gotten the opportunity to help us organize the 13th African Games, which is the first of its kind as a Olympic multi-purpose or multi-sport event ever to happen on our soil here in Accra and Cape Coast. Preparation, I would say, we have to be grateful to the government of the Republic. They have been supportive. The LOC, chaired by Dr. Kwaku Fusuasare, we've been working day in, day out, 24/7 to see that we manage the games in a way that at the end of the tournament, Ghanaians and the world will say this was, wow, a very successful event. The area that I am providing services to the public and the visiting guests, VIPs and everyone, is transportation. And I'm happy that you did an introduction by letting people know my expertise in the travel and sports tourism industry. I think that the leadership of the LOC and the ministry realized my capabilities and made sure that I'm putting at the right place. I'm grateful to them, and I want to use this your platform to assure Ghanaians and the world watching that I will do my best. I will listen. I will be guided by the rules of the requirements as being spelled out by the Games guideline to make sure that we provide the best transport services for the Games.
Well, I also do realize that you have quite a strong team, quite a number of experienced individuals on the team. Yeah. Tell me about your team.
Yes, I'm happy that you made mention of the African Para Games. That is the first ever multi-sport event ever in Ghana. And it really gave us a lot of experience. We use that as a platform to learn a lot. Not just participation, that I've been to many games, so that one I go in as a participant. But this one, I was so much involved in the organization. So I was able to fish out some key and reasonable people within the scheme of work and the scope of work during the time. And I am happy to say I have, in the person of Mr. Ignatius Elete, a very strong and experienced sports administrator to look at the administrative work and also look at the activities that went on during the Para Games to lead as an administrator of my subcommittee. I have Foster, who is also a travel expert. I have Majid Eldin, who is my younger brother. I've trained him from childhood. He has been doing transport services with STC and all the transport companies from the university way after when he came and joined my company. Very experienced guy in that field. I have Dede, who is one of my secretaries. She has been working with me for 5 years. She really understands how I work and all that. We have Patrick, who is an architect by profession, but he is able to look at the landscape of Accra to tell us, okay, this is what we need to do. This is how we have to work it out. And then we have a police officer, who is in the person of Dr. Sasu Mensah from the Ghana Police Headquarters. We have some of them like Xavier, who is also a transport manager. He has been in the transport for quite a long time. We have about 13 membership, and they all come in with different expertise, and we are working favorably well.
Very well. Now, I'm very sure that you were given some timelines and all of that.
Exactly.
As we speak, we're a little close to 20 days to go for this competition.
In
what kinds of timelines?
In fact, we have some few days. Today is on the 15th, and we have about 12 days for everything to start. As before our show started, I saw South Africa saying they will be arriving on the 27th. We have countries like Morocco arriving on the 25th. They have already sent a delegation here, and they are doing a tour of the Greater Accra region, visiting venues. With a delegation of about 8, they are here now. Egypt came first 2 days ago. Most of the countries who are very prominent when it comes to African sports have already arrived and doing a tour of the facilities and all that. We have just 12 days to do this. And as the head of the transport committee, what I am doing is to do a simulation exercise.
Very well.
I have done one, which was just to test, to let our team understand, to bring the media into the activity for them to appreciate the kind of work ahead. And also to let the media understand that we will need your cooperation, and that is the reason why you have invited me here. We are going to do a simulation exercise on the 22nd of February. That is 3 days before the arrival of most of the countries, especially those who are participating in the badminton. Badminton will be the first sport to begin for the championship, and that will be on the 3rd of March. And for that matter, we have about 15 countries will be arriving by 26, 27 latest to start training for the games. So we are doing a test run on the 22nd. And that test run, we will need about 2,000 volunteers on the ground. We will need on the ground, yes. They will be at key points from the Games Village to Boteman, to Bukum, to Accra, to Achimota, all designated and Labadi. They will be on the ground, they will be on the streets, and we will be doing a change of time. After every 4 hours, we have to change them. We are doing this, one, to sensitize the public, for the public to know they are there as traffic supporters, just to support us to do the transition properly with regards to the transfers from the venues. And we will have about 600 police officers on the ground as well to help us. We are engaging police, and we are still looking at the special lane for the games. And the special lane, how is it possible? How are we going to do it? We will need the media to help us. Let the public understand that this is the games for the people of Ghana. This is the games for the people of Africa, as Cote d'Ivoire just did. We all saw it. How are we going to cooperate with the LOC to make sure that every Ghanaian, a road user, will now be a national service personnel to help us make sure that the roads are clear. Like you were telling me what your experience in Dubai, that you were saying that the Formula One, as if the people have been informed not to move their cars, so that the Uber and those private companies could be given the opportunity to transfer people to the venue. Exactly, we will get to that point. When we realize that, okay, this is the best way to do, we shall need the national security operatives to help us to send the signal across. We will need the Ministry of Roads, the urban roads, all of them police. So I want to say that it is a very difficult responsibility that we have been given because of the kind of roads we have, the traffic issues. Yesterday I was in a rush with the Moroccan delegation. We had to call a police escort. Immediately the Ghana Police Service had to give us, and even that one, we have to use the other side of the road to make sure that we reach our destination in time, because we were late throughout in whatever we were doing. Our road is just very difficult, and we shall need the cooperation of the media and every Ghanaian citizen to make sure that we are able to deliver this.
Now, through your work and through your experience, are we still able to operate a bus lane? I mean, immediately you are even thinking, well, this tournament is going to last another 1 month or maximum 6 weeks.
1 month.
Now, are we able to, implement the bus lane again? Because we had it previously, and
Yes, we will be able to do this if Ghanaians decide to support us. It is only the mentality of the people that, although the time is very short, but we shall need your cooperation. When I say your cooperation, I mean the media, to be able to help us, even if there are no lanes. As soon as the media is able to sensitize the public, to let them identify themselves with the brand of cars that we are using, the colors and everything, that this particular vehicle, when we see them on the road, we have to give them way. We can do that, but we know it will be difficult. But we think that having a lane is the best. The police are looking at it. The national security are engaged and they are looking at it. We pray and hope that we will give these games the best. If the transport collapses, the games has collapsed. You know that transport is the head, the tail of the games. When we have a good transportation system, we have the best of games. And for that matter, we will need the cooperation of every single Ghanaian to become a national service person, to become a traffic controller, to become a very good citizen at this particular time. From the 27th to the 23rd of March 2024, we need the cooperation of every Ghanaian to make sure that we provide Africans, the world, the kind of hospitality we always boast of, that Ghanaian hospitality. Let us make it clear that it is true we are still the best Ghanaian to hospitality ever on this earth.
Well, if you just joined us, we're having this conversation with Mr. Samson Dean, who is the chairman of the Transportation Subcommittee of the local organizing committee for the upcoming Africa Games, to be hosted from here in Accra, Ghana. There is a lot to do in terms of all the logistics that other subcommittees are to provide, but today we're throwing the focus on the Transportation Subcommittee, which is led by him. Now, let's get now into the little fine details. Yes, you did mention that our roads may not necessarily be in the best of function, but of course, there are some that are also very good and can accommodate these vehicles. As we sit, what else is left of the work of the committee ahead of that big opening ceremony?
Yeah, for us, we are ready. Fortunately for me, we've been able to procure 332 vehicles for the Games. And as we speak, they are all going through the branding system. If you go through the parliament, the forecourt of the parliament, you find a lot of vehicles parked there being branded for the Games. On my side, I do not have any difficulty. The only thing I have is the awareness. That is why the media subcommittee, we are doing a lot of engagement. Myself, I want to make sure that we do a lot of sensitization, engagement, and then we do our last simulation exercise with the support of the media, the support of the police, the support of national security, and the support of every Ghanaian citizen, for us to be able to create that awareness, for us to be able to let the road users understand that this is what we should expect during the Games. The vehicles will be moving in a reverse angle. Whilst we are going on that side, another group are coming on that side. So if you have nothing doing in town, I see it that you have to just park your car at home and then try at least to support the African Games.
Interesting stuff there. Now, there are vehicles, and of course, there has been a lot of talk about budget and how we have to be very, being prudent with our spending and all of that. What is the plan? I mean, because I do see different ranges of vehicles. If we all take a look at this, which is the official transportation manual, there is the fine detail of every single vehicle available in the big pool, and that's what I'll be discussing next with Mr. Samson Dean. Okay, so what is the arrangement? I've seen one Ayalolo bus, I've seen another one, I've seen another, 30-seater civilian, bus, Nissan Civilian. There's the Hilux truck. There's a few versions of the VW as well.
So this is how it is. Let's use, for instance, Ghana. Ghana is currently registering about 758 team contingent, team delegation. And by the time of the Games, let's say they reduce their number to, let's say, 600.
Okay.
Per the team calculator, then Ghana will need at least two dedicated buses of a 55-seater to transact its business. The chef de mission will be given a saloon car. The chef de mission is the person who manages the team, who is the head of the delegation. During the Games, the chef de mission is the boss. The chef de mission is in charge. The minister takes instructions from the chef de mission. It is the chef de mission that is recognized during the Games. So each country will send an official named chef de mission, meaning the chief of the mission. So he or she receives number of vehicles, and with a team size like 600, you'll be given two 55-seater buses, and the common one people know in our country is the VIP and Marco Polo kind of, or STC kind of vehicles. Those are the buses. Then we will have one saloon car one Toyota Hiace, which is a 15-seater vehicle. This is what we are giving to them. Because the African Games is a political in quotes, not like the Olympic Games, which is more of a sports governance controlled. We are giving one saloon car or one mini SUV to every country for their VVIP, most especially 2 days to the opening ceremony and the day after opening ceremony, which is 3. We repeat the same to the end of the game. You are giving one mini SUV for your dignitaries. Why do we do this? It is to recognize the governments of their support to the organization of the games. These games is birthed by the African Union.
Exactly.
And for that matter, we have that as a requirement to give them recognition. Someone will ask, what will happen to the athletes? The athletes have got a dedicated transport system. And for these games, we have our transport pool from the University of Ghana. The entrance to the Games Village, you see our transport pool, very, very beautiful place. We will have bus shuttles that will be doing transfers to all game competition venues. So an athlete from Nigeria, an athlete from Togo, an athlete from Lome or wherever, depending on the time schedule of training, as directed by the Confederation, the buses will be at the pool and it will be shuttling them to these venues. In every 10 minutes, there are buses moving to some key venues. So an athlete or a delegation can just be joined. That is the athlete transport. We also have buses for media. We understand. And during games, we have seen it most of the time. It is not easy for the media to be hiring or renting vehicles. So we are going to provide enough transport. And as we speak, the head of the media committee, the media subcommittee, Dan Kwekwa, has requested for 10 minibus. And the 10 minibuses will be stationed at the transport pool and will be dispatched to all the venues. And he already has media coordinators for the venues to be able to liaise with the transport committee to make sure that the supply and flow of vehicle will be intact. Somebody will also ask, what about the general public? And that is where Ayalolo comes in. Ayalolo will be doing the public transport. So on the accreditation, as a media officer, you are given a TP code, you are given a TM code, you can join Ayalolo anywhere within the circle of within the area of the games. As soon as you are accredited, you can board Ayalolo at any time. That is if where you are, Ayalolo is the available transport for you. But the media will have its own dedicated vehicles. And then lastly, we have something we call Games Family Hotels. The Games Family Hotels host VIPs and host sports and international sports administrators. This I can say and I can confirm to you that we have some 5 selected hotels whom the accommodation team have indicated to the transport that those are the hotels that we will have to release vehicles at all minutes to make sure that they are able to transfer VIPs from those particular hotels. One of them is Kempinski Hotel, Movenpick Hotel, Accra City Hotel, Alisa Hotel, and Labadi Beach Hotel. These 5 hotels are recognized in our books as the Games Family Hotel. When you are there as a media person, as any kind of accredited personnel, you'll be able to board these vehicles from these particular locations as well. So it's either you are taking it from the venue or you are taking it from this particular recognized and officially accredited hotels. There will be a lot of pool of accommodation, but we shall not be providing transport services to those locations. We'll be doing it from only 5 dedicated dedicated Games Family Hotels. That is it for the transportation.
Wow, interesting stuff there. All right, let's now also get into the needs that you have and how it is also opening up opportunities in the local economy. Now, we've spoken about people who are offering services, for instance, in car rental and all of that. Tell me about how the story has gone regarding getting the people involved through the usage of their respective outfits to help this agenda.
Yes, what the transport subcommittee have done is that the accreditation system has provided us with something we call the transport management app. The transport management app will engage most of the car rental companies. Some of them have already contacted us and we are already working with them. What will happen is that because we have to provide proper care and security for the coming guests, we will have some key transportation companies registered in the transport management app as our official transport agencies. They will be providing private transport. It's a pay-as-you-go service. So what will happen is that as soon as you are a member or accredited member of the games, you will be able to download the transportation management app on your phone, and you can make a request or a booking of your wish at any time. So it takes you automatically to the pool of agencies who have been linked, who have vehicles on the app. As soon as you click on it, it's like the Uber service or Yango service. They will just pick you up and they will send you, because they are dedicated transport agencies who are providing private and commercial business during the games.
I see. All right. Now, when you drive around and you look around, what kind of look and feel are these guests also going to have? Because you see, we're also trying to make a statement within tourism for this particular edition of the games.
Yeah, I think I agree with you. It's a good question. I think most of the media interactions I've been having, these are the questions they've been putting to me. I am not in charge of the brands and media, but I think that I know that my friend and brother Yao Sechi is putting things together to change the talk around the games so that the public can have a feel. But we have been able to do some feel. On your way from the airport, you can see that we've done some best. If you go into the Lagos Stadium, you find we've done something feel. But I understand your question. Your question is how we have been feeling when we go to games. And I think that recently, the one we saw in Ivory Coast is so super. From the airport, you can see the flags, you can see just super. But we are getting there. Yao Sechi and his team are doing well. I know that within the next coming days, they will, by the time people wake up in the morning, they will see a lot of signals that leads to the games. That the time is now. The games is about to start. The opening ceremony is on the 8th of March, 2024.
If you just joined me, a substantial part of the conversation gone, but we're still on it. The president of the Ghana Paralympic Committee and also president of the African Paralympic Committee, serving as president of the Transportation Subcommittee of the Local Organizing Committee for Africa Games 2013. Now, we'll be asking him some more questions after these messages. You stay with us on this special conversation that we're having with one member of the Transportation Subcommittee. He's actually the head, and he's been putting in a lot of work so that the movement of our athletes, especially, and our administrators, will be one that will be very convenient and smooth. Stay right there. We'll be back.
Welcome back on the AM show. Just taking you down memory lane, taking you way back into time to let you see a bit of what we stood for. But you see, watching those just got me reflecting. And Kroma said, we want to demonstrate, we want to show that the black man is capable of managing his own affairs. Have we proven that? Have we proven that? That's the question. It's not to say I am denigrating. I am black. I am brown, if you like, as the term black and white and all of that. But I know through school and everything that I am more than capable. But our leadership, have they proven that the black man indeed is capable of managing his own affairs? Where we are, have we proven that? Well, let's come back into the studio. We're joined by lawmaker for Bole Bamboy, Yusuf Suleimana. He joins the conversation. Good morning. You're looking colorful.
Ben, how are we?
This morning.
Good.
Very colorful.
Of course, I should be in Ghana colors.
Yes, and you
just
are.
the black that is not there, the black side that's not there. You see that.
But I've got them to do something in the middle there.
The next thing to do is to make sure that I get the black star in somewhere. We are good to go.
Some people say the black star of Ghana can't be found anymore, that the star has left.
It's hanging around somewhere.
It's hanging around somewhere.
Yes, we'll bring it back.
I would ask for your quick reflections on Ghana at 67. We are 67 years old. But I'd like to find out, from where you sit, let's stick to the Fourth Republic, yeah? Your side has ruled. The other side has also ruled. The black man is capable of managing his own affairs. Have we done that?
If you say the black man, to some extent, yes. And there are countries where the black man has been able to govern themselves very well. Take Rwanda, for instance. They're going through war. At the end of the day, today is a proud nation, a nation that is doing very, very well.
We are not a proud nation.
They are blacks.
Ken Ofori-Atta said we were a proud people, so you choose your words carefully.
A proud people who, today as we speak, about 8.4 Ghanaians go to bed on empty stomach.
You mean 8.4 million?
Million Ghanaians.
Right.
Go to bed on empty stomach. How can we call ourselves a proud nation? I mean, there are issues that we have to look at very well. And we must be honest with ourselves. Yes, we have attained independence, but I don't think where we are today, that's where we wanted to be. Today, we cannot even take decisions on our own. Decisions that majority of us believe that is the way to go. We are unable to take such decisions.
We are talking about LGBTQ.
Of course. And so for me...
We'll get there. We'll get there.
Independence, good, but there's so much to talk about. And whether or not indeed we have benefited from
it?
Where we want to be, that's not where we are. And that's a fact.
Yeah, but your side, the NDC, has also had power, so you've also contributed to our not being where we want to be, right? You admit that?
We can compare the two administrations. And if we compare the two administrations, we'll be able to tell who has really taken us back. Okay? We're progressing very, very well, even though we have some challenges. But somewhere along the line, Ghanaians decided that they wanted to test somebody. And in his own words said, test me, try me and see. They have tried him. Today, where are we? This was a man who promised us Ghana beyond aid. Today, we are begging everywhere. And nations are rejecting our requests, even when we are looking for loans, because of the way we have managed our economy. And so if you ask me, yes, in the midst of two blind people, or in the midst of people, one with one eye is better than those without eyes at all. I'm not saying that the NDC is perfect, but if you want to compare the records of the NDC and the MPP, clearly there's a party that will struggle to build the nation and they come and take us back. And that's their records. So if you ask me, yes, we have our challenges, but the NDC has done better than the MPP. And that is why today, as we speak, in terms of our debts, I think that we are leading in the West African sub-region. There's no country that is owing more than us. And that for me is a sad situation, Ben.
Independence. At independence, right around the time of independence, if you looked at our economic situation, our social situation, what we had, resources, and what we could have done, we were better placed to succeed. You know, especially in the United States and other places, you have a yearbook, and sometimes they would even select the most likely to succeed, the most likely to do this. At that time, we're the most likely to succeed compared to Malaysia.
Agreed.
Compared to South Korea.
Agreed.
Compared to Singapore. Yet now, we are 67, and you look at those countries and where they've got to. They are light years ahead of us.
Agreed.
And we are where we are. And interestingly, even comparatively, the natural resources we have, small though we are, we have more than they do. Still, we are where we are. So this whole concept of independence, what does it mean to you? And maybe should we change our concept of independence as a nation?
And this is a very important question you asked. To be honest with you, when I was driving here, that was what I was thinking about. That in terms of mineral deposits, we are blessed. We have lithium now, we have gold, we have diamond, we have salt, we have clinker. Everything is in this country. Timber. Now we have river bodies that we can even do irrigation. What is not in this country? Virtually everything is in this country. So we are a blessed nation. The problem is leadership. These countries that you have mentioned, they don't have what we have in terms of natural resources, but they've been able to manage the little they have efficiently. So our problem is not about the natural resources that is deposited everywhere in this country, but it's about our ability to manage. And that is where I think the problem is, leadership. And I've said it here. You have a party that will come in and build the nation, sacrifice so much, thinking about the future, and then another one comes to deplete everything and takes you back. And that is my worry. I have spoken to quite a number of NDC who say that, why is it that anytime the NDC is in government, you are so careful, you don't spend the way you spend for party people to enjoy. You are very, 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 very meticulous, and you are thinking about the nation.
But you are heading on slippery territory now.
No, I'm not. I'm just
also been. I know. I don't want us to get political, but you've also been reckless on so many accounts. I can enumerate them right here, right now. So I think we should move away from. If you say one is better than the other, in
exactly my
ways,
point.
Fine. But
exactly my point.
You've also been considerably reckless. Our economy has been mismanaged somewhat by your end. Our power situation, you dealt with it, but we were in it for. So I don't think we should go there.
No,
because some of the things
I'm not going there. I'm just trying to compare two administrations. And I'm saying that even though both
but you said always when this is empowered always I don't agree.
I can justify that. I can justify that. That anytime the NDC was in government, things were better. And anytime the MPP comes in, they destroy everything.
When the NPP started this term, the first term from 2017, you could say, yes, you would say that on the back of an IMF program, and the projections were already that the economy would grow at such rate.
Exactly.
So they came and benefited.
Yes.
But they had progressive growth for a while.
The World Bank country director
did they have that growth or not?
To say that, look, you are declining. From 2017, after the economy was doing well because of the projections that the NDC has made, or the investment the NDC had made in 2016, things were going on well. Thereafter, they were supposed to now manage well. They were unable to manage, and things started declining until COVID set in. Okay? And so all I'm saying is that, yes, two political parties in this country have been governing this country for some time now, and I'm saying this on record, that in terms of the management of the economy, looking at the two political parties, the NDC is better than the MPP. And that's all that I'm trying to say. I'm not saying that the NDC, we are angels. No, we might have also made mistakes. But if you want to compare the two political parties in terms of the way they manage this economy, you would give credit to the NDC. That's what I'm saying.
You look at Ghana now, and a Ghana beyond aid. You made mention of Rwanda and how that far they've come. I have said, and I state this unequivocally, without fear or favor, that if I were leading Ghana, we'd probably take a pause on this whole Independence Day celebration. maybe for a year or two or more. Magufuli, of blessed memory, did it in Tanzania. Actually, the sums of money they saved from that, they pumped it into other things. I remember once, I think after he was gone, the lady who took over also did same, and I think at a point it was invested in roads, at a point it was invested in school buildings, school facilities and all of that. Because I ask, at the end of a day like this, the pomp, the pageantry, the celebration, does it change where we are? Could we mark this in a simplified way, maybe at the Jubilee House, in a memorial rather than the huge sums we spend? It is significant, yes. The people in the eastern region will say it will bring some economic activity to them, yes. But in the end, what does this do? I feel we keep celebrating independence when in fact we have no business talking about the word independence because we are not.
But I agree with you. I agree with you to the extent that if you look at the amount of money we use in celebrating independence, I think that we could do without that huge sums of money being wasted, if you ask me. Now, the president is going to the eastern region, and they're going to transport horses, they're going to transport all sorts of things. Go and beautify the place just for some 30, 40, or maximum 2 hours program. And then we are packing all the things back. Some people will say that, oh, that's how some others also make their money. But should that be our focus? I think that the amount of money that would have been used in celebrating the anniversary could be used to provide, pay for the debt that we owe at Kolebu so that people who have kidney problems are able to survive.
You mean the renal center,
the renal
dialysis
yes,
machines.
dialysis machines. I've heard the professor there or the doctor there lamenting. Not any huge sums of money, but what are we seeing? We are spending this money to go and celebrate Independence Day when citizens are dying at Kolebu. And so I agree with you that if even we wouldn't say that we are cancelling it, but as and when we think that there's a need for us to pause and then use the money to do other things, we should be able to take that decision. And so I agree with you.
Now, looking at this, let me make it clear that technically, I'm not against what is being done. For example, it's being moved around different regions. That's a beautiful thing. It is. But I'm looking at what we're expending on it and whether, it's like being constrained and then saying that while I'm constrained, I have 1 CD, but I want to live a lifestyle like that of someone who has 100 CDs. You will find yourself in hot waters. But moving away from all of that, independence is upon us. Some have said sometimes, and I've said a time without number, imagine Ghana at 67 as a human being. You would likely have pensioned off.
Sure.
I can say, whether you lived a life worth something, which has left you with something to fall on in your old age and all of that. When you picture Ghana at 67, what are the pluses and the minuses, the pros and the cons, the good things we've achieved and the bad things we should shy away from?
I think, Ben, we have achieved some good things. Since independence, we've been on our own in terms of our governance administration. We've been able to, yes, we had some coups. If you take the Fourth Republic up to date, we've been able to demonstrate to the whole world that we can politically manage ourselves. And so you realize that from one political party handing over to another political party in a very peaceful manner, it's not easy to get that. And you will agree with me that some countries have not been able to do that. And so if we have been able to do that, I think that we should be happy with that. In terms of infrastructure, we haven't done badly. There are certain things that you see in this country, and you go to other countries, and you wonder whether it's a sovereign nation. For instance, go to our airports. I don't want to mention other countries, and go to other neighboring countries' airports, and then you know that we have come far. Our health administration, in terms of provision of health services, I know that some countries are coming in here for treatments. I know some people from other countries come into Kolebu and other, even private hospitals here in this country. And so when it comes to that, we have done well. Our educational programs, I know some citizens from other countries also come to Legon and other places for education, even though we also go to other nations. But I do not think that we go to the countries where a lot of their people also come here. No, that's not the case. And I think that we are doing very well when it comes to that. So these are some of the positives. Now the negatives have been the fact that we've not been able to manage our financials. All these years, it's all about going to the IMF, going to World Bank, and today as we speak, the last time I checked, in 2023, we had borrowed huge sums of money. We had borrowed huge sums of money, and then we are unable to even pay our debts, and that for me is a serious matter. So a nation that is supposed to be independent should also be able to manage its finances and manage them very well. But that's not what we are seeing. Again, in terms of our infrastructure, even though I say we have done well, but we could have done better. There are other areas, for instance, our road sector. Many farmers, when they are able to harvest, they find it difficult to bring their goods to the markets. And so we have a situation where farmers farm and get nothing out of it. And that for me is something we have to also look at. All the agricultural programs that we have rolled out, we need to be holistic in terms of ensuring that we're able to link our road networks to the farm gates and to the markets. If we do that, we'll be able to improve upon our cultural activities and let our farmers benefit from whatever farming they are doing. Today, as we speak, Galamsey has come to, as it were, there's a threat when it comes to the issue of Galamsey in this country. Our cocoa farms are going off, and our water bodies are also threatened. Where are we going? That's the question to ask. And so these are some of the negative things that we think that we should be able to look at and then work on them. And then the issue of corruption also comes to mind. In all this, we haven't done well when it comes to corruption. The last time I checked, in 2023, about 9.6 billion Ghana cedi was lost to this state as a result of corruption. How do we move forward if we are unable to solve this issue? And it seems to me that these days, we don't even talk about corruption. The president was in parliament.
But you know the media talks about it. We've been talking about it incessantly. The fact that the president failed to mention corruption does not mean there's no talk about it. We talk about it on this network practically every day. In every week, you would have some talk about it.
When I say we don't talk about corruption, I'm talking about the fact that those who are supposed to lead the fight against corruption, not talking about corruption. Yes, the media is doing its part. The opposition is doing its part. Civil society organizations are doing their bit. But it takes leadership to be able to fight corruption. Now, let me remind you, in 2017, one of the issues that was well articulated in the 2017 State of Nation Address was the issue of corruption. Then the second year, 2018, some few statements were made about it. And thereafter, nothing was said about corruption since then up to date. You can go and check the records. And so where are we going when we cannot, come together as a people to fight this canker? Today, we are told that state institutions such as the Special Prosecutor's Office will fight corruption. And we have heard from he himself the kind of frustration that he's going through. And so you ask yourself whether or not we are committed to the fight against corruption. And so it's one of the weaknesses that we have to look at, and it takes leadership to be able to address some of these issues. When somebody is alleged to have committed a crime related to corruption, our leadership should not be quick at defending the person. Take, for instance, the issue of Cecilia Dapa. When Cecilia Dapa was asked to go home, the statement that followed was that, I have trust in her, I don't think she will do anything bad. That for me was not appropriate, because it was just alert those who were going to preempt them that, look, this is the way I want the outcome to be. And that is exactly what we have seen. State institutions that are supposed to help in the investigation are rather frustrating each other. And so the issue of corruption, we haven't done well there, and so we need to also look at it. Because we're not doing very well in the management of our economy, we still import so much. I can say that 80 to 90% of what we consume in this country is imported. 67 years, we should be able to produce most of the things that are very basic. Yeah, we are not able to do that.
Let's look at that from your end. I don't want it to get political, but when the NDC was in power, how much did you add in terms of that same production you talk about? It's been known that whether it's the third industrial revolution, the fourth industrial revolution, the fifth, or whatever it is, because now we've gone past even mechanics and we're looking at technology in different spheres. How much did your administration, you've had what? Rawlings, 8 years, Atta Mills, Mahama, another 8 years. You've shared the spoils in the Fourth Republic. How much have you added to Ghana's capacity in that regard?
So, this is a very important question. Let me just start with Mahama's administration. Mahama and his cabinet realized that there was a need for us to reduce our importation of some specific products. For instance, sugar. Also, again, rice, poultry, and others. And so what they did was to come out with a deliberate policy to boost the production of these commodities. Hence, the issue of Commended Sugar Factory. It has come with its problems, but that was the vision, to ensure that we are able to produce more sugar in this country, then we don't import more.
I like the way you got to that point and you said it has come with its problems, and then you quickly moved on. The Commended Sugar Factory never produced any sugar for us, did it?
It did.
After investing about 30 million, is it euros into that? It never produced any sugar till now.
They produce, yes, so you could say till now, God, now we should have been producing huge quantities of it, but we are not producing.
Have you seen the factory lately?
Yeah, I've been there last year.
Time we went there,
last year.
It's literally a rust bucket. That's what that place is.
Yeah, I agree with you. But that's the vision. And it also brings on board the issue of continuity. When one government starts something, another government doesn't want the one that started it to take credit, and then all sorts of things are happening. Again, in the area of rice production, the NDC government under John Dramani Mahama imported so many combined harvested. And where I was working, SM Bank, we are giving loan facilities, in some cases interest-free, to so many rice farmers in this country. And we are encouraged other processors to set up their manufacturing or processing factories in this country. Avnash in Tamale and many other ones were encouraged to set up, and some individuals, some indigents were also supported to go into rice processing and cultivation. And so that was also a way to add up to the production levels of rice in order that we reduce the importation of rice. Poultry, we had what we call the broiler revitalization program, which was also introduced under John Dramani Mahama. And under that project, we were supposed to gradually reduce the importation of poultry. It started very well before he left power, and so you cannot blame him for not achieving what he intended to achieve. Again, Ben, you know we still import shoes and other things into this country. There's a shoe factory in Kumasi. It was John Dramani Mahama who revived it when it was totally collapsed. And so at that point, we were even selling shoes and other shoes to the military. The military and other services were supposed to buy shoes from that factory. It's collapsed. Gihawk was also revived by His Excellency John Dramani Mahama. Again, antiretroviral drugs, okay? The NDC government under John Dramani Mahama supported pharmaceutical companies in this country to produce these drugs so that they can even export it. So it was also to increase capacity in terms of production. And so if you ask me what we have done, this is just a little of what the NDC have done in that respect.
Do you know my response to you? And my response to you will come on the back of what Nkrumah said, which we've put out on social media. Today, we must change our attitudes and our minds. We must realize that from now on, we are no longer a colony, but free and independent people. Nkrumah said that. And that is why I feel, especially in this Fourth Republic, because we've had the advantage of a global village and everything in between, both your party and the MPP, NDC and MPP, you're going for low-hanging fruit. These things you've spoken about, yes, but we could do so much more. How about adding value to our gold? Yes. Making trinkets or something out of them, because they buy your gold, take it out there, fashion something out of it, and you pay 3-4 times more what you would ordinarily sell that for. Why are we not doing that? So cocoa. No, let me make these points. Cocoa. Cassava. Cassava, one of the easiest things. I think a few years ago, about 2 years ago or so, we're the world's largest exporter of yam. Many people don't know that. What did we do with that? I wouldn't be surprised if we slipped from that. We're one of the world's largest producers of gold. How are we monetizing that? Which is why even this whole lithium bit, I'm not excited about it, because looking at we are following the same things. Other countries are getting 30-40% plus royalties. We're happy with 10% because guess what? It's better than what maybe it was yesterday. We are not thinking. Look at energy, power. No country can make serious progress without sustainable electricity. We've gone back to where we used to be. We're facing problems. Now, whenever I leave home, I get worried because you may come home and some things may not be the same. Basic things, toothpicks, shoes, you mentioned, glass, some electronics. Back in the day, Nkrumah, akasanoma, those little radios. I remember, I've seen some before, listened to some before. So if you fast forward 50 years plus and you can't do what you were doing back then, does that make any sense to anybody? Jute bags. We import jute bags. I don't know.
Yeah, so you have listed quite a number of very interesting products that we could do on our own. And let me just take you back to the first one you mentioned, cassava. Again, and these are the records are there. We tried to pilot a cassava project. Cassava in ethanol production, cassava in flour production, cassava in so many other products. And so what we did was to look at where cassava grows very well, and we have selected them and go. As I talk to you, we are giving an interest-free facility to somebody to do high-quality cassava flour around that area. He started in 2015, 2016. He cultivated the cassava. He started with the construction of the building. Then the NDC left power. Go and look at it. It's been abandoned. Again, you go to...
You've also abandoned projects, haven't you?
Those projects were abandoned, could not be perhaps private sector projects.
So what is different? Okay. Because now, they will also tell you, like with the...
In any case, we have not abandoned projects.
The housing facility in, why do I just forget the name? Saglimi. Mm-hmm. They would also tell you that there were issues. You guys will always have...
When I say there were issues, let me tell you, what I'm saying is this, and the difference is this. I have come to take a facility from you to go and do something that you are interested in. Now I've met all the conditions. I have started. Somewhere along the line, there's a change of government, and then you decide not to disperse the money. What wrong have I done in this case? That is different from where government is building a project, and then government says that there are issues with it. Even that, you don't stop the project. Even if there are issues with the project, you don't stop it. Go ahead with the project and deal with the issues. Now you've abandoned Salagami. What has happened to it? So if you ask me,
you also abandoned projects. What has happened?
Tell me,
to
which project have you abandoned?
Oh, there was a housing, one of those that comes to mind. A housing facility, you know, this affordable housing in the Ashanti region. Have you forgotten the Kumasi?
Under whose administration?
John, you asked me a question. John Ejekum Kufuor started it. It rolled over. The Mills administration moving forward didn't complete it. I think it's in the Ashanti region. It was started by John Ejekum.
You become specific because
how more specific do you want to be?
No, because
it was started by John Ejekum Kufuor.
You mentioned Sagami,
it came into the NDC administration, and it wasn't completed. I think it's this Nanado.
Now the good news is that one of the policies of the NDC, and for that matter, John Mahama, going into this 2024 election is that we're going to ensure that all abandoned projects are completed before he even brings on board new ones. Is in our manifesto. When it is launched, you see it.
So will you also complete the National Cathedral?
No, that's not a project that we're going to continue. Because
are you aware of how much of our taxpayers' money has gone into it?
No. Look at the difference.
No, are you aware of how much of our taxpayers' money has gone into it?
The difference is that ab initio, we said it was not a project worth undertaking. So we have stated our position clear. In any case, if we were to complete it, we won't complete it as a cathedral. That I can assure you. We can't leave that pit there, that most expensive pit there forever. It will be completed, but not as a cathedral. That I can assure.
What's the plan? To use it as what? Hospital?
Yeah, there are some schools of thought that are saying that just expand it and link it to the what is it called, Ridge Hospital, okay, so that it becomes part of it. Now some are saying that why don't you develop it into a governance institution where it can even train parliamentarians and other foreigners, and then we are able to make money out of it. So there are so many schools of thought that are coming out with ideas. But I can tell you that the former president and the incoming president, John Dramani Mahama, is aware of it, and he has whispered to me, I won't say it here, what he intends to do with it. We are not going to abandon it, but we are not also going to use it as a cathedral. That is very clear. And so I'm saying that he has promised that going forward, abandoned projects will be completed. And very soon when we come out with our manifesto, in fact, he has already said this on air, and so it's not something that we are running
away from. Someone is alluding to what I was mentioning. Raphael Boateng says, good morning, the NDC abandoned the Asokori Mampong affordable housing project. I think that's what he is alluding to.
Yeah, so
there's specificity.
So I've given you a response that we are going to now onwards, even MPP projects that we think they are worth it, we will complete them.
But that's the whole point,
that's
right?
A change.
It's always about whether you think it is worth it, and then you will look at a number of them, and for some reason they will not be worth it. And the taxpayers' money will be expended on all of these gargantuan projects, and will keep bleeding.
Ben, sitting from, where I sit, I was privileged to have some information about some projects that were abandoned when we were dealing with the Public Accounts Committee reports. And then it turned out that building a new structure will be more economical than and financially beneficial than those abandoned projects. In this case, you don't say because you have promised that you are going to bring up all abandoned projects, whether it is worth it or not, you do it. No. And here, we're not going to be, look, there will be a committee, there will be a board, and all these things put in place, and technical people will have to assess these projects. If it is not worth it, whether it's an NDC project that was started or an MPP project that was started, if it is not worth it and we think that we should do a new one, why not? And so it's a promise that the NDC is coming up with. And I tell you that this is novelty because it has never happened anywhere in this country where there's a deliberate attempt to ensure that all abandoned projects have been completed, even before new ones are started.
Right. For those of you watching, I'd like to find out from you what your take is on Ghana's independence. How independent are we? You know, on a scale of 1 to 10, how independent do you think we are? You can send me a message on Facebook. We're streaming live there, Joy News on Facebook. On a scale of 1 to 10, how independent do you feel Ghana is on Independence Day? And speaking of the National Cathedral, it should have been, today, the 6th of March, that it would be. 2 years ago, from what I hear, and then now, likely today, we should have been launching, commemorating, actually bringing to bear that opening ceremony for the national.
But what has changed? We'll be there. We'll be there for it.
Yours is a different.
No.
Black wine.
I'll be there. I'll be there.
People say you'll be there too.
We'll wait for president to come and commission it.
You know that commissioning is not going to happen. What are you going to commission? So you are just there for propaganda? Is that
no, it's not propaganda.
But what is it?
This is a man who promised us. His Minister of Finance came to Parliament and promised us and said that today, 6th March 2024, they will commission it. One would have expected that they will come out to say that for A, B, C, D reasons, we are not commissioning it. So for us, we are going there and we are waiting for them to come and commission it.
Let's move away from that.
We caution them and they refuse.
Let's move away from that. LGBTQI+. You passed the bill in Parliament.
Sure.
And now there's been a whole lot matter taken to the Supreme Court. Finance Ministry speaking. The Attorney General has spoken in the past. And then we hear the comments of the President to the diplomatic corps. And now he says the thing hasn't even reached his desk. What do you make of that? I just want to start from there before I bring in specifics.
Yes, so Ben, we have 3 arms of government: the legislature, the judiciary, and the executive. And the architecture of our constitution has given each of these, arms a function to play. Now, when it comes to the enactment of laws, there is the need for some kind of, if you like, collaboration to be able to have a law completely passed. And that is where we are today. That there is a private member motion that was moved, that there's the need for us to legislate to ensure that the practice of LGBTQ in this country is abandoned or is frowned upon.
Regulated, I think.
Regulated. Now, you don't do it on your own. You have to go to the Ghanaian people to solicit their views. And so one of the bills that really, received so many memoranda and what have you, is this LGBTQ bill, bill. So many stakeholder meetings. And that was why it took us a very long time to be able to pass it. And I can tell you, if you were to do
you 3 years?
I said
4 years thereabouts.
Yes.
3 to 4 years
yes.
to get it through.
To get it done.
Because I think it's 2021?
2021. It started in 2021. So I can tell you that a lot of consultations went into it. At the end of the day, Ghanaians, our constituents, said pass it. That's what we wanted. And now we have passed it. On 28th February or so, the law was passed.
Right.
Now, it is for the president to give his assent. And even before the thing got to the president, he had already expressed some reservations. Wait and even receive it and see the content of it. Now, don't forget that if the president receives a bill and he doesn't want to assent to it, what he normally will do is to take it to the Council of State. That's the process. The Council of State will look at it after he had given his reasons. And then it comes back to us in Parliament. We now have to look at the reasons why he's saying he wouldn't sign and see if we can amend it to suit what he wants and then take it back. He doesn't have that absolute right to say that I won't sign it, even though he's an executive president. Now,
but I don't think to be fair to him, I don't think he's just suggested that I will not sign this and take it away. I will not sign it. That's not what
he's done
suggested.
That before.
But in the 3, I know you are referencing those 3 other bills that are before him. But he has given reasons, hasn't he?
No,
he has said that there's going to be a draw on the consolidated fund. For example, with LGBTQ, part of what has been said in the past is that if you bring me private members' bills, I don't necessarily agree with him, but if you bring me private members' bills, and it's going to pose a draw on the consolidated fund. For example, your people are going to go to prison in some instances. And if they do, it's the state that is going to have to take care of their feeding and their livelihood while in prison. Our prisons are bursting at their seams. So those are the reasons.
So that's one-sided. We are looking at it from one side. Okay, the other side is that the negative impact of the practice of that act could also lead to some costs. And nobody has...
You're talking of in the health sector?
Yes.
Right.
Okay. And nobody has even looked at the two to see which one is more expensive than the other. But we are serving a people, and the people are saying that this is what we wanted. And so on the basis of that, I think that the president should be signing the bill into an act. Now, what are we seeing? That somebody is in court, and so they are waiting for the court to pass judgment before. We're all in this country when somebody had gone to court on the issue of e-levy, but the president hadn't signed it.
I knew you'd
The
go
truth,
there.
the truth of the matter is that the president doesn't want to sign this. And he doesn't want to sign this for so many reasons, some personally known to him. But what we do know is that the Minister of Finance has not convinced me sitting here that the cost they are talking about is the main reason why they don't want to sign it.
They're
Now,
saying
why do I
that
say so?
we may lose some of these funding from the IMF, from the World Bank.
Yes, so I
There
have-
are crucial areas, for example, for the World Bank and support that they are giving. And mind you, Virginia Palmer, the American ambassador, has hinted that it may be difficult, for example, for her to go out there and get funding, support for Ghana on some trade deals and others, if this is our stance. You've heard her say that.
Yeah, Ben. So when? They said we should suspend it. Suspend it and go back to it when? That's the question. The reason is this. Since independence, we've always been taking loans from these people. So if we continue to take loans from them, they're saying that once you take loans from us, don't legislate on this matter. So when are we going to now pass that law? This is the time for us to bite the bullets. And I thought that if we reduce corruption, I believe that there's what it takes in this country to be able to manage ourselves. We may not be doing it the way we want to do it, but we should be able to manage this economy. Look at the corruption that is going on everywhere. Look at the amount of money that they're supposed to spend from 20... Look, we have oil wells. What are we doing with the money? Royalties are paid to us. What are we doing to our money? That money? Look, they met a 250 million. They are stating issues like which amount of money. Let me see. They are saying that we are going to lose. This is the bill. They are saying that we are going to lose 600 million budget support, and then also 250 million for the financial stability fund. Then the sinking fund, we had 250 million in that account. Where is the money? Where is the money that we left in the Ghana Infrastructure Investment Fund? About $270 million. Where is that money? The stabilization fund was having $250 million in that account. Where is that money? These are some of the things that we are talking about. You have come to meet money in these accounts. You have spent everything, and today you are saying that you need money to be able to govern, and that if we don't get the money, we shouldn't be able to take decisions on our own. I think that what we are seeing today is mismanagement. Look, the NDC went to IMF, and the IMF deal had given us some amount of money. They alone, when they took over in 2017, benefited at about amount of 637 million out of that whole amount that the NDC had gone to contract with the IMF. Where is that money? These are some of the things that we should be talking about. And nobody should tell me that we cannot manage ourselves without these loans that they are talking about. Many loans were collected, and we have abused it. We have not been able to use it the way it's supposed to be used. We should go ahead and sign this bill into an act, and we should be able to raise money within this country. Now, somebody will say, "Oh,
it's easy for you to say that." The president now, then. You just said we should be able to raise money within this country and all of that. It's not just saying it with your mouth. The current president said it. Yet sikaso. Sikanina yehia wo mai mo ya wo haya today. Look at us. So it's not about the rhetoric of things and saying that we have the money or we can do it. The reality is this. We are beholden to some of these Bretton Woods institutions. The IMF, the World Bank, and the rest. Some would say that logically, nowhere in the IMF program we've signed does it say that one of the conditionalities is legislating or not legislating on LGBTQ. But as some would also say, if you are willing to not, there's no country that doesn't need aid, but if you are willing to not manage your affairs and you will depend on entities, countries, that legitimize this, you should also be willing to pander to them.
And you see, what we have failed to also appreciate is this. In 2015, 2016, we have discovered more oil wells. We should ask ourselves, how are we managing this?
We've gone beyond...
No, Ghanaians should be asking questions. How are we managing this money? The taxes that we have received so far, how are we managing these taxes? The loans that we have taken so far, how are we managing those loans? The heritage fund that the MPP inherited, how was it managed? The sinking fund that had left the $250 million in that account, now it's not there. How have we utilized it? These are the questions that we should ask. If we ask these questions and answers are provided, then we'll be able to tell whether or not we can manage ourselves or not. We should be able to stop the corruption that we are seeing, whether it's under NDC or under MPP. We should be able to stop it. Once we stop these things, we should be able to manage our affairs without going to the IMF or anywhere. The problem we have in this country is that we are running away from the truth. The truth is that we should work to stop corruption. Everywhere in this world, people are working hard to see how they can reduce corruption. We have a situation where you just pass laws and think that the laws will wake up themselves to prevent people from doing the bad things. Those laws must be applied. And that's what we are failing to do. Okay. I believe that if we do that, there's money in this country. I will never support the parties of LGBTQ in this country if it means even losing my seat.
Okay, so
I won't accept it.
This matter, we have just a few minutes to go. This matter has gone before the Supreme Court. Interestingly, the president, a day before the matter was taken to the Supreme Court, actually could look into his crystal ball and say that that would happen. It did happen. If the Supreme Court, for example, gives a determination and says it is unconstitutional, what are you going to do as parliamentarians? Will you still go forward with your 2/3 and try to change the course of that?
We'll do it.
Is that what you will do?
Some of us will ensure that we push this to the letter.
Will you get that 2/3 majority?
No, so it was unanimously passed. And so those who are pretending will now see them. So if I were in the position of the speaker, if the Supreme Court says that, look, it's unconstitutional and we want to go back to it, we will want everybody to now vote publicly. So we know that indeed we are speaking for the good people of Ghana and not just for ourselves. I know that 99.9% of my people in the Bole Bambo constituency are in support of the legislation. And so I should not disappoint them and I shouldn't disappoint myself because there's something that I will not budge out. And so for me, if the Supreme Court, and we are hearing certain things, we don't want to speculate, but you see there's some kind of arrangement, it goes to the Supreme Court, it's delayed for a very long time. Some are even suggesting that delay it so that somewhere somewhere October, November, you then pass it. By which time you have received these monies from these people, that is also deceit. Let's be frank with the people and tell them that take your money and then we take our law and then practice what we're supposed to practice.
Well, I wish it were that simple. But let me just acknowledge, I asked you to send in responses. You've sent them. So let me acknowledge them and then I'll come to you with my final question and we're gone. So Asante Francis Jr. says, Happy Independence. Samuel says, Happy Independence Day. Please tell our leaders we need Ghana back. Then there's Raphael Boateng. Good morning. The NDC abandoned the Asokore Mampong affordable housing project. But then TK Mensah, on a scale of 1 to 10, I will score Ghana's independence at 5. Malik says, on a scale of 1 to 10, I will score Ghana 2 out of 10. Samuel Vegas Owusu says 1 out of, okay, I will score Ghana 4 out of 10. This one says 2 out of 10. Joseph also says 2 out of 10. Samuel says Ghana only enjoyed its independence under Kwame Nkrumah. Raphael, okay, so that's a long message. Odogu, what's your score? You say 2 out of 10. Then there's Kobe Kona, who says he would score Ghana 0 out of 10. Yeah, so those are the stories there. My final bit for you. You remember John 11:35? I know you are. But John 11:35, some would say Jesus wept, others would say, and Jesus wept. Lady Al-Hassan, the vetting from yesterday, Japamersa Lady Al-Hassan, she was asked about Ayawaso West Wugon and everything, and she got very emotional. But
Japamersa Lady Al-Hassan.
No, Japamersa and Lydia were all there yesterday. Yes. But Lady Al-Hassan was asked about Ayawaso West Wugon and what happened. And she says she was bereaved at the time and all that, so she wasn't really. And some people felt that was a bit curious. Respond to issues of what happened. And Lydia literally wept like Jesus, but didn't give people what they expected. Just a quick thought on the vetting, and we're out of it.
So the vetting went on very well. I was there. Now the structure is that if you are a leader of a committee and a minister responsible for a particular sector where you supervise is coming, you have to appear to also ask questions. So I ranked for trade, industry, and tourism. And so I was there to ask Mesa some few questions. One of the questions I asked him had to do with the fact that unemployment is rising. Today, as we speak, from 8.4% in 2016, is now about 14.7% in 2023, or even as we speak now. What can he do in terms of using tourism to be able to create jobs? And then he gave his responses. I wasn't satisfied, but I had to leave it there. Then this issue of the cathedral also was asked. I asked him, the cathedral, the pit, which is the most expensive pit in this world now, has become an albatross around our neck. And it's now under the Ministry of Tourism. I asked what he would do about it.
Ejapamesa.
And it was a little bit difficult for him to, and I can understand where he was coming from. I mean, generally, I do not think that they are performing badly, but it's not only the face-to-face interaction that determines whether somebody be passed or not. We will still have to look at other things. People are bringing some kind of petitions and all of that. If you see these petitions and put them together, it makes sense for you not to pass a particular candidate, the NDC will be able to do that. And if there's nothing like that, we'll appeal to our people to accept us to also pass them if we don't have anything against them.
All right. So that's it. We have to go.
No, but let just use this opportunity to wish
30 seconds.
The former First Lady, Mrs. Lorena Mahama. Today is her birthday.
Right.
And we
wish her a happy birthday.
We all know what this woman has done to touch the lives of so many people, especially the vulnerable. Children, orphans, and all of. But she has done very well, and I pray that the good Lord will give her long life, give her strength, and bring her back to us as First Lady again.
Thank you, Suleimana. Yusuf Suleimana, thank you for joining the conversation. He's Member of Parliament for Bole Bamboy. We're now going to look at a little piece we've put together in terms of the preparation of Koforidua to actually host this year's Independence Day parade. This is what we've put together for you. Also note that we shall, over time, be connecting there as and when that event kickstarts on this channel to bring you what exactly is happening in Koforidua. But for now, enjoy this.
Has been an eventful one for residents living in and around Koforidua, the host town of the Independence Day celebration. Already, there has been loads of activities surrounding the main event, from religious gatherings, business and investment fairs, a feel of what the military and other security agencies will have to offer on the day, among others, as far as planning of activities and keeping in shape the venue are concerned. Workers of the Electricity Company of Ghana were seen fixing lights. Others were mounting tents and platforms to accommodate dignitaries who will grace the occasion. The event planning committee has expressed satisfaction with conditions at the venue. New Japan South Municipal Chief Executive Ike Apojesi is a member of the planning committee.
The committee has been so professional. They have done a very good. They've done good work. Actually, they have assigned people, especially the police traffic unit is taking care of that. The military is also taking care of some traffic control, and everything is being done in an orderly manner. And so I don't think that is a problem at all. And so security is not a problem. Come to Koforidua to experience this beautiful 67th anniversary celebration, and you go back home peacefully.
The local economy continues to receive massive boosts. Food vendors and other service providers have already mounted stands to serve people. Residents believe the event will bring a lot of benefit.
Economic-wise, people are going to open their bars for visitors who are coming in to come and sit down and enjoy. I believe that food sellers are also going to equally benefit from it. Taxi drivers, private drivers, everybody who is into any business is also going to benefit from this.
I expect to say, Bibi abeko so fine. Na ya so na ya baha na ye ton wade no so yeso mu beto ye beto ade pa na nkofo ato ade maye.
The contributions of stakeholders to the annual event continue to serve. Member of Parliament for New Japan South constituency, Michael Ochebefi, believes the local economy will grow by raking in more revenue.
It's going to be one of the major economic booster for the economy, the local economy. We hope to be able to maximize a lot. I mean, in terms of trying to get people to enter the town, and also people who also do business to generate more revenue. Now, people who are not in traditional business are turning to become business people. I mean, the shortest possible time. So within 3 days, they're able to generate a lot of money through any activity they can do to generate revenue. So it is not only anniversary that we are going to experience, but there's going to be an economic activity that will boost the local economy. So it is going to be very beneficial to the people of New Japan South constituency. We are not going to just host it, but we also benefit of creating opportunity for ourselves.
Even though the program promises a high patronage, spokesperson of the planning committee, Jefferson Saki, says the size of the resource center will not be able to accommodate the expected numbers.
It is. I mean, the reality is that this is the newly built, Regional Youth Resource Center. It's very similar to what we have in Adaklu in the Volta region. Looking at exactly what happened in the Volta region, it's exactly what we're also anticipating here. It's a matter of, finding ways and means of control and the numbers. Usually that has been the norm. The Ghana Armed Forces are always very full in control of things. This is a general public event. You don't need an invitation card. You don't need any special invite to come in. The most important thing is that you come on time. As long as the seats are available, you can find yourself a place comfortable, and then you get seated. When the numbers reach the threshold, the planning committee, we've also made provisions for extra seating arrangement outside the stadium, and providing very big screens also for people who will not be able to come in. Looking at the experience from all other regions that we've gone to, you realize that by 7:30 a.m. the stadium is always full. And so I would only advise the general public, especially those in Koforidua and its surrounding areas, to ensure that they wake up very early in the morning and find a sitting place inside the stadium, because it's going to be a very, very unique day on Wednesday.
The large crowd who will gather in the sports center will not be disappointed, as they are expected to be trailed by the contingent of the security forces and school children.
Your Excellency,
Kofi Siaon, reporting for Joy News.
Welcome back on the show. Now, if you're part of the multimedia family or have been following the Joy brands, have been following us for some time, you know that we don't miss the opportunity to bond with you, to share and create memories with you. We've conquered Ghana with you, escaped to the Western region. Remember the Afajato conquest? All of that. Carefully created activities and fun programs, you know, to help you relax, have fun, and just let loose. This month of March, there's something else coming your way. I do not have all the details, and I'm joined in the studio by our head of programs, Edem Naite, for Joy FM, and she's going to tell us all about it. But before we get into it, what's the intention behind organizing programs like these? Because they're fantastic ideas.
Okay, so, I mean, especially so for the month of March.
Yeah.
Because we are celebrating Ghana Month, you definitely want to put together some programs. You have audience who have been glued to you, and some people are even more comfortable if it is coming from us, because you know that we are trusted.
Yeah.
We are, you know, we're independent, we're fearless, and we're trusted. Let me add that one to it. And so if it is coming from the stables of the Joy brands, be it Joy News, Joy FM, Hits FM, or Joy Prime, then they can trust. They know it is safe, and they want to come along with you.
Right.
And that's how come we have done this over the years.
Great ideas and great programs
Thank
coming
you.
from your desk, right?
Oh no, from the team's
yeah, from
desk.
the team's desk, headed by you. But what are we doing this month of March? We're going to the Eastern region, right?
We're going to the Eastern region. We call it the Eastern Camp Adventure. And it's basically an adventure because, like you rightly mentioned, we have done Conquer Ghana.
Right.
And I was telling you the route, right?
Yeah.
From Accra through to Cape Coast to the Ashanti region. Then we went to the Brong-Ahafo region and then to the north.
Quite a
And
road
then,
trip.
I tell you. And then we flew back to Accra. We've done the Savannah Safari,
Okay.
kayaking on the Volta Lake, Afajato Conquest. That we have done several times. At some point, it even became a competition because somebody actually did that from the foot of the mountain to the top in like 13 minutes. And another person did it in 8 minutes.
Wow.
You know, so we've done all
Is it
that.
an Abein? I've
Oh,
heard
yes.
of, it's not Abein, right? Oh.
Abein, and there's another lady, we call her Grandma. She has,
Okay.
I mean, Grandma, and she does it so well.
Okay.
I did that once and I said to myself, never again.
I tried hiking once and I thought, this is not for me.
At least I have done it, so I have conquered that.
Right.
But this year we're doing something different, something we haven't done before. It's not a very long road trip because we'll be moving from Accra to Ibri.
Okay.
But the what's fun and what's adventurous about this is the fact that we're going to be pitching camp on top of the Ibri mountain, somewhere very serene. We're not disclosing our location, you know, publicly because of security reasons. But once you pay and you are part of the group, you know exactly where we are going and you know the itinerary. So from Accra, we go to Ewukugwa, Okonfanoche's bedside, and then from there we go to Asinima Waterfalls. People are looking forward to swimming in the waterfalls. And then we will now come back to the campsite where we are going to, you know, be allocated our tents, because the highlight of it is you sleeping in a tent. So it's a tent accommodation for one night. And so we settled there for lunch, and then in the evening, after dinner, the jungle party happens with barbecue. And then we're going to have, you know, by the far side, we are actually going to be sitting by the far side and telling our favorite Anansi stories. We're going to be having a lot of local games, you know, there in the evening. The party is going to have DJs on rotation, and the focus will be on a lot of Ghanaian music. You know, so the focus will be on a lot of Ghanaian music. We're going to dance throughout the night, and we have some surprises we're not releasing, you know. And
save some for those who would only come there to
those who would only
experience
be
it.
there,
Yeah,
exactly.
So we are camping, and you didn't even ask because I know it's 100% safe.
We're camping, yes.
Yeah,
we're camping,
Okay.
and like we have security.
Right.
We have the police. Iswabo security is on board as well, so we're very safe. And that's not all. Now, when we wake up in the morning of the 17th, that is if you get to sleep, we will go hiking.
Okay.
Then after the hiking, we go to the Safari Valley Eco Park.
Oh.
And spend the whole day there, and we'll have lunch there as well. It is only when we are done there that we will come back to reality.
Like a whole 360 package of
tell
fun
you,
and activity.
I tell you, and it's going to be fun and crazy.
Yeah.
And I am looking forward to it because I haven't experienced, you know, a tent accommodation. I haven't gone camping before. So, yes, I'm looking forward to it.
Someone said black people don't camp, but, you know,
We're
I'm
learning
looking
it.
forward to that experience.
We're learning it.
What does it take to be part of this train and experience all these wonderful
1,500 cities.
Just that?
Only for everything. Your transportation, your meals. the tent accommodation, the barbecue, jungle night party, the trip to Safari Valley, Eco Park, all access to all the tourist sites, everything.
Including food?
Everything is covered. There are no hidden costs anywhere. Okay. Everything is covered in the 1,500 cedis. Okay. And our closing date is this Friday.
Oh, that's too soon.
And so if you haven't signed up, 059-303-8842. 059-303-8842. That's our Momo number. And then when you're paying, the name that will pop up will be Daniel Boyfield /Multimedia Group.
Please, and then let's take the numbers again, just in case someone didn't get
059
right
303 8842.
Okay.
059 303 8842. That is the Momo number. And the name you will see will be Daniel Boyfield /Multimedia Group. And then you can reference Joy Camp. Now, if you want to pay using the short code, it's *714*003#.
Okay.
*714*003#. 1,500 cedis only. People have been asking, how about the children?
Yeah.
Definitely, if you have a child who is not going to sit on your laps, it's still 1,500 because the child will have a whole seat in the bus. It's going to be eating all the food, go everywhere. So once the child will be seated on the bus, because remember that we have to hire the bus and divide, the cost. After our negotiations, you divide the cost by everybody who will be seated on the bus. So if the child is not going to sit on your laps, please, it's still 1,500.
Do you have any packages for couples or family groups who want to come, or is just 1,500 per
head?
Right.
However, we have tents that can accommodate even up to 6 people.
Okay.
And so if you're 4, 5, 6 and you want to have a whole tent and have your own party in your tent, you just have to alert us and then we can make available a very big tent for, the numbers.
Right, so we are going to the Eastern region with Adam Naite and the crew.
I tell you,
do
it's
not
going
miss
to be
it.
fun.
Please, for the last few minutes, please convince the people to come so that we.
Okay, so if you haven't experienced this before, like me, because I am looking forward to really experiencing this. This is an opportunity for you. Remember, if you have to do this on your own, it's going to cost you a lot. You can't spend 1,500 cedis to do all of this on your own. Plus the fact that you get to network with other people. And so this is the opportunity for you to join the Eastern Camp Adventure. We leave Accra on the 16th. So Saturday by this time we are on the road.
Okay.
And then we come back on the 17th. So join us. And remember the closing date is just this Friday. That is Friday. That is if we're not fully sold out by then.
Adam Naite, everybody, head of programs here at Joy FM. And please join us and rush, because the deadline is this Friday, right? All right, so you can check out our social media pages for the details if you missed it. Thank you so much for coming to invite us on this wonderful adventure.
Thank you, sweetie, for
Will you pay for me?
We'll talk about that.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us. But that's not the end of the show. We have a myriad more of conversations coming your way, and we'll cross over to Koforidua. But we'll be back in a minute. Please stay.
Distinguished ladies and gentlemen, the parade commander for this year's anniversary parade is Group Captain Fifi Edu Buedu of the Ghana Air Force. The parade second in command is riding the horse Bushbody. Since arriving in Ghana from South Africa, Bushbody has been performing several duties, amongst them wedding escorts and military parades. He was the parade adjutant's horse for the Independence Anniversary Parade last year. The parade commander will shortly invite the color party to march on parade. We are all kindly requested to rise as the colors march past our positions. All in uniform are to salute.
Sir, march on the colors. Parade! Present! Out! March! Color party, change direction right. Right, forward. Change direction left. Left forward. Left forward.
Military colors, also known as regimental colors or standards, have a rich history dating back centuries. They originated as a means of identifying units on the battlefield, serving as rallying points and symbols of honor and loyalty. The tradition of carrying colors into battle can be traced back to ancient times, with evidence of their use found in civilizations such as ancient Egypt, Greece, and Rome. During the 17th and 18th centuries, military colors became standardized across armies. These colors typically consisted of large flags or banners carried by color bearers at the forefront of marching units. The colors often displayed the regiment's insignia and battle honors. In addition to their role on the battlefield, military colors also played a significant role in ceremonial functions and parades, symbolizing the unit's history, traditions, and valor. As warfare evolved, the use of military colors shifted from the battlefield to ceremonial and symbolic purposes. However, they remain an integral part of military tradition and are still carried in parades, ceremonies, and other official events to this day. On parade this morning are the National, Army, Navy, and Air Force colors. Carrying the national color is Flight Lieutenant Randy Seshi Deku. The color escort is Flight Sergeant Soa Benjamin. The Army color is carried by Captain Ebenezer Dampare. The senior color escort is Warrant Officer Class 2 Kwate Benjamin, with Staff Sergeant Akanlo Awinate Cyprian as the junior escort. The Navy ensign is Naval Lieutenant John Selom Kwete. The senior escort is Chief Petty Officer Class 2 Hagan Marshall, with Petty Officer Class 1 Amu Vincent as the junior escort. The Air Force color is carried by Flight Sergeant Maniam Chum Ampedu. The senior escort is Warrant Officer Class 1 Bio Eric, with Sergeant Okanse Julius Pate as the junior escort. With the colors on parade, all is now set for the arrival of other dignitaries. As we await the arrival of our dignitaries, permit me to give a profile of the parade commander for Ghana's 67th Independence Anniversary Parade. Group Captain Fifi Edubuedu, a native of the Eastern region, is a product of St. Thomas Aquinas School in Accra. He was enlisted into the Ghana Armed Forces in October of 1997 and was commissioned into the Operations Branch of the Ghana Air Force as a pilot in October of 1999. He spent 7 years as a squadron pilot with the Communications Squadron. Group Group Captain Fifi Edugwedu was later appointed Deputy Director for Air Operations at the Air Force Headquarters in August of 2015. He has attended several courses, including International Flight Safety course at Kirtland Air Force Base in the United States, the Junior and Senior Staff courses at Jaji, Nigeria, and Maxwell Air Force Base in the United States, respectively. He also has a master's degree in military operational arts and science from the Air University, also in the United States. He has been decorated with commendation medals for his participation in international peace support operations in Ethiopia and Eritrea, Darfur, and the Democratic Republic of Congo. He is currently the Director of Air Operations at the Air Force Headquarters. Prior to his current appointment, he was the Director Air Force Peace Support Operations, also at the Air Force Headquarters. He is married with children. This morning, he is riding the horse Cosmos. Cosmos is a 25-year-old stallion that was bred in KwaZulu-Natal in South Africa. Cosmos performs several duties, including military tattoos and the sport of polo. He was the parade second-in-command horse during last year's Independence and celebration at Ho.
Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, already seated, the Inspector General of Police, George Akufu Dampari, Lieutenant General Thomas Opong Pepra, the Chief of Defense Staff, the Chief of Staff at the Office of the President, Honorable Akosua Frema Osei Opari, the Chief Justice, Her Ladyship Justice Gertrude Isaba Sakitokonu, together with our various dignitaries. It is important to note that two key ministers are responsible for this Independence Anniversary celebrations. The Eastern Regional Minister, Honorable Seth Kwame Champong, and the Educational Minister, Honorable Yao Osei Educhum. Also seated is our Interior Minister, Honorable Henry Quarty.
That's Koforidua, where the 67th Independence Anniversary celebration is happening. But we'll come back to that. Let's have a conversation with young, brilliant minds on the Ghana we want. I'm joined in the studio by Chirema Opong Daniel, NUG's president, and Nazir Sahid, who is the executive secretary of NUG's. Gentlemen, okay, it's Chirema Opong Daniel.
Yes, please, yeah.
Okay, you're welcome to the studio.
Thank you.
I like how traditional you're looking.
Yeah.
It is Ghana man. Yeah. Does it have to be a special day before we adorn ourselves in a traditional way?
Oh, not necessarily, but we want to prove to the world that indeed we have good staffs that we, at a point you need to be putting on for the world to see that indeed Ghana has good staffs with it.
Yeah. Anyway, let's talk about Ghana, the Ghana we want. Yesterday I was out speaking to some young people and I was asking them, is this the Ghana you want? What Ghana do you want? So let me start with that question. Is this the Ghana you want?
All right, thank you very much for the opportunity once more. I will extend greetings to the over 12.5 million Ghanaian students we lead over. I think today is a special day and I want to wish all of us a happy Independence Day. I think for the past few years or for the past 67 years, Ghana has seen a lot of changes happening with regards to our education, with regards to our healthcare, with regards to even political stability and all that. And yet I'm very optimistic. There are a lot of things that needs to happen, despite the improvement that we've seen from the days of Kwame Nkrumah even to this day. In those times, we wouldn't have been having this kind of serene environment, having political conversation. If it goes against an individual, you send army officers in and they destroy the whole place. But at a point, you're having this political stability, you have this serenity to even voice out most of the things we want to do. Amidst all these strides that the country has achieved, I think there's a lot more that we need to do, especially when it comes to even the youth, because looking at statistics, the youth form a huge part of this country. And at a point, if any country that will want to develop their various sectors and even uplift it, we would have to strategically or even intentionally develop our youth such that even when the old ones are churning out, the young ones will be equipped enough to take over the country as well. So I think there are a lot of things that we need to change, especially as an educationist or even as a student that leads or presides over colleague students in this country. I think I'm much focused on our educational sector, because I feel there are a lot of things that needs to be done. If the educational sector is well managed, if the proper measures are put in place, we'll be able to curb one, unemployment. We'll be able to curb two, the infrastructural challenges in our educational sector. We'll be able to curb three, the funding and other issues affecting our educational sector. I don't know, as the conversation proceeds, I will list most of the things that needs to be worked on as even youth in this particular country.
What about you, Said? What kind of Ghana are you looking forward to?
Yeah, thank you very much for this opportunity once again. I would also use the opportunity to reiterate unflinching commitment to the over 12.5 million Ghanaian students. So importantly, as President said, Ghana over the years has seen significant steps in our development since the times of Nkrumah 67 years ago. And unwavering, there's still room for development. There are things that can be done. A Ghana where we see a thriving economy reflecting in our GDP, a Ghana where there's food security, a Ghana where there's free compulsory and then quality education for our youth, a Ghana where there are jobs, a thriving economy. There's more to be done. So I believe regardless of our position here as a country, there's still more to be done. And even as we sit on the bench representing the educational front of our students, we still believe that there are a lot of things that has to be done to accelerate the development of our country.
Right. So we know that because you mentioned unemployment, the current unemployment rate is around 14.5, there are about 14 point something percent. And we are churning out over hundreds of thousands of students, graduates every year, but the system does not have the facilities to absorb all these graduates. Being the leaders of, the students in this country, what do you think should be done differently to change the narrative, especially when it comes to youth development and unemployment in Ghana?
All right, so issues of unemployment has been one of our huge cankers affecting our front. Each and every day I'm getting calls from various students who are done with school on how to even get places to even work, because what is their sense of going?
You are evidence to unemployment. Yeah. Oh, when did you graduate school?
Last year. Last 2 years. Right. I was my service last year.
And you don't have a job?
Absolutely.
President.
So we are completing school and then you get no job. We're having a lot of people who are completing school and then even finding job becomes problematic. Each and every year, universities are churning out, we are getting to 50,000 plus students. Yet when you complete, there's no job. This is a cause for alarm, because these students, after sitting home for quite some time, becomes very vulnerable. And this causes an alarm, and that's the main reason. And just last week, we went to the National Security Minister to have discussions on even the see something, say something. Because when these students have nothing doing, they are staying idle in the house, it opens the opportunity for other groups to even come, the Al-Qaeda groups and all these groups to come and invest in these idle youth who has nothing doing. And this is linked to a lot of the politicization of government policies. Recently, I saw a flyer on employment ongoing with civil servants.
Yeah.
But you see a lot of our youth, we apply, but getting it becomes very, very problematic. All is linked to the fact that we've politicized our whole systems. And if this politicization continues, then in the coming days, there will be a cause of alarm. if the necessary measures are not put in place to help absorb our youth after enriching them with a lot of knowledge in the various universities, they come out and there's nothing happening. So it has become a new normal where most of our youth or most of our students will complete school, and right after completing school, they will be there doing nothing. They would have to go and read their first masters. After reading their first masters, has nothing done, read second masters. After doing second master, read third master. So you see one young student with over more than 4 master degrees. Why? Because they have nothing doing and they can't just sit home ideally. That is even with individuals who have the source of funding. What of all the others who has no source of funding? They'll just be sitting home. Anytime an opportunity comes, be it good, be it bad, as far as it's giving them money, they'll just involve themselves in it. We, on a normal day, we commend the government for even putting in 1 or 2 effort in absorbing most of our youth, but we're having a chunk of them who are not having any other job, and they are just in the house, always begging for money and all these kind of things. I think it's a threat to our national security.
Do you think it's more a case of, I mean, we know that the systems aren't there to absorb all these graduates that we're churning out, but perhaps is it because we are not as industrious as we should be? Are we just waiting for government to provide these non-existent jobs? Because there was a feature 2 or 3 weeks ago on a guy who was a first-class graduate from one of Ghana's universities and was checking blood pressure and sugar levels for market women because he had to survive. And he'd done that for 10 years. And he's been able to, I mean, live off that some way. I don't know whether it was sufficient or not, but he was able to live off that for 10 years. Do you think, Said, that it's our problem that we are not as industrious as we should be, so that we don't wait on the government to provide these non-existent jobs for us?
Okay, thank you very much. And based on that assertion, one may ask that is our system or is our economy really one that supports the existence of SMEs? Is our system one that is going to support the existence of these small businesses? Obviously not. We do not have a thriving economy. We do not have systems that support small businesses. We have MASLOC and other institutions that have been established to support these kind of institutions and these small startups. But believe you me, the systems are put in place, just as President said, a lot of things in this country have been politicized. So if you do not have access to a particular group of people or a particular area or agency, you are not going to get the access to these resources. Beyond that, our economy is not really an inviting one for young businesses because already there's not much money in the system and you do not have the ability to capitalize on the system or on the market to thrive as a young business person. In my time, somewhere last year, we trained over 50 SMEs, people who are interested in starting SMEs. But you come back to the big problem where source of funding and what have you. We do not start these young, small, medium-scale enterprises on very small budgets because definitely you are going to fall down along the line. So we believe the system is not wholly inviting and it's not wholly welcoming to SMEs. So it's not the fault of these young and upcoming ones that they are not much industrial. When you go online, when you open your WhatsApp statuses, you see a lot of young people trying to start businesses. And you ask yourself, is it really going to thrive? Is the system really going to support it? And that becomes a big question on us and on our people who are out there.
You both mentioned that the system has been politicized, but we know that these political parties or political entities and, individuals, they have their tenterhooks everywhere, including NUGs. Also we hear, I know you won't confirm or deny that, but you do have opportunities to engage with our leaders as and when you get these opportunities. Are you able to actually speak on behalf of the majority of the youth and table the real situation on ground? And if so, do they hear you? Or is it just a matter of you are in the position, you're in a leadership position, you say what you need to say so that you gain some sort of favor from these leaders? Which is it?
All right,
are you able to actually communicate the real situation on ground?
All right, so the first thing I will clearly say is that I'll debunk this. NUGS is a non-partisan group, and on any day else I always put it.
Right.
MPP, NDC cannot influence the decisions of the National Union of Ghana students. We represent the actual happenings on the ground, and we will always do. You see, one of the key things I've always been saying is that there's this popular generalization that says that the future is youth. But critically, there have not been any outline measures that has been put in place to accommodate the youth in the future we seek to see. You You see, the National Union of Ghana Students harbors the almost huge numbers of our youth in the country. But trust me, if you're having organizations like the National Youth Authority, you're having the the Ministry of Youth and Sports, you're having organizations like Youth Employment Agencies, which has no member of even the youth represented on these boards. It clearly tells you that
there's no youth.
There's no youth, as in even a representative, let's say from the National Union of Ghana Students, on that board. Okay. It clearly tells you that at a point we don't really value us, and we are the grassrooted entity in Ghana. We are one of the grassrooted entity in the country. Whatever thing that is happening deep down, we know. Whatever things, the challenges our students who complete school are going through, we know. Sometimes the information they have at their end is quite distinctive from the information we have at our end. Because they are dealing with PR systems and all that, and at a point, their interventions and subventions doesn't go deep down into our youth, or even the general or the actual issues affecting our youth down there. So if you're having these bodies like even Ghana AIDS Commission, Youth Employment Agency, National Youth Authority, even the Ministry of Youth and Sport has no youth representative on it. What are you trying to do?
What are you doing about it? Obviously, your position goes beyond students. You're youth leaders. What have you done so far to ensure that your voices are heard? You also fight for a place in these places so that they don't count you out, so that we don't sit, all three of us are young people, we are you, so that we don't sit and lament about how they're not involving us. What are you doing with your position?
For lamenting, we've been lamenting for days, but I think it will be very imperative and also incumbent on our leaders leading this country. I've seen platforms where we've given even few young ones, we head in some of the ministries and all that. But it's very important that as we are lambasting, we can't always be lambasting, we can't always be castigating them and all this. At a point, they should also critically sit down and know that amidst all the things we are doing, we will need some of these young ones in there. We need some of these young ones to be part of the decision-making body. When that happens, you could clearly know that the voices of the youth are highly represented. It happens even in our UN groups which find themselves in Ghana and in all the other groups. I don't know. Ghana, we are now gradually gravitating towards the essence of even involving the youth in most of the decision-making body. You see, when it comes to our educational sector, let me just start small.
Body? Just to clarify.
Yeah, the decision-making as in the ones I've made mention of. We should find the youth represented on their boards. You should find a youth representative like we have on Get Fund, that the National Union of Ghana Students or even GNOT is represented on a Get Fund. Okay. It clearly tells you that they want to involve the youth in there. Now, all the educational policies, all the employment-related policies we are rolling out for the youth. So if there's no member of the youth, a grassrooted member, of course, who is not represented, to really bring out the actual happenings on the grounds, then how then do we even bring up policies for these young ones coming up? So we'll end up bringing up a whole lot of policies, but it's not affecting the individual or that Mohammed Salifu in the northern region who really needs this intervention. Now, let me just touch a little on even our educational system. As we speak, our nursing training is almost 12 months to 18 months. They've never received any allowances. And nobody's doing anything about it. Not that they don't know. They really know. If we initiated something like a nursing training allowance, why then don't you pay them? So now these students go through these agonies and still complete school and still not get posted or even not get no job. So you sit back and it's a whole lot of heartbreak. So you sit back and anybody that comes with any juicy opportunity, regardless of it being negative or positive, you just roll on. Which I always say is a threat to national security. At a point, the National Security Ministry should be able to, if necessarily collaborate with the National Union of Ghana Students to put out a lot of education to our youth. Because most of them are stranded as we speak. Okay. Not to, and when you speak about this issue, you see that you are connected to a party A or party B. But today we are speaking as students of the National Union of Ghana Students, who are not necessarily being influenced by any party or so. My students are there, they are having no jobs. I don't need party A to tell me to go and speak to the world that my students are suffering and are having no job. I don't need party A to come and tell me my students are sitting on the street studying. I don't need party A to come and tell me that the main statutory funds that funds education in this country, which is Get Fund, has been capped. An amount of 7 billion gathered, only 3 billion is given to the educational sector to fund our education. How then will you be able to even pay student to loan transfer? How then will you be able to even pay teacher training allowance? How then will you be able to even pay nursing training allowance? Our students are sitting under trees. If we are looking at employment, we should be looking at even questionings regarding our curriculum. if you're able to change the curriculum, it gives us a different mindset on how we should live our lives, even as students, because we don't have to necessarily be absorbed by the government totally. If you're having a different mindset, the curriculum has been changed. I love how the Minister of Education is introducing STEM education and all that. If all these introductions are done, and I'm done with school, and I don't have a job, because it's at the back of our mind. Right after you are done with school, you'd have to go and sit in the air conditioner and be working in a very juicy work. But if there's a different change in our educational sector, because how we think is highly linked to the systems that are being used in our educational sector. So if they want the youth to have a different mindset of doing things, then the educational sector, the curriculum should be adjusted. If there's an adjustment in there, there will be an adjustment in the way we think. So when we come out from the various institutions, how we do our things will be quite different. If that is done, then we can look at funding. Because once you've changed our mindset, you would have to set up funds to fund our ideas so that we can be coming up with good things. In coming up with good things, then we should get Ghanaians also patronizing the good things their own Ghanaians are doing. But after this all process, before this process is done, trust me, we'll be able to get it. Else, we'll get a funding, we'll fund the idea, but Ghanaians are not ready to even take the services of these good ones who've been trained. Because we've had Ghanaian engineers and all the others, we go for foreign ones too. Even government go for foreign. So if all these things is done, I'm very much sure we could have changes happening as in the coming days.
Right. Saeed, what I'm asking is, have you gone to the National Youth Authority? Have you walked to Pius Enam Hajide's office? It's an agency set up to build youth capacity, youth development and all that. And say I am youth president, NUG's president or secretary, executive secretary, and we have put together a proposal. This is what we think, if you consider, would help the youth. Have you done any such thing as leaders, youth leaders, to ensure that you're also fighting for us from your point?
Okay, so one of the key significant things we've done since we assumed office has been to pay courtesy calls to the people who are in higher ranking offices, who can contribute their quota to us to be able to continue with our mandate to the Students' Front. So just as President was saying, last week we were with Honorable Mr. Albert Kandapa, the Minister for National Security, and many others. We've sent a couple of letters to some ministries and some government agencies. Fortunately or unfortunately, we've had positive responses from some, and we've received negative responses or not getting any form of response from others too. Honorable Pius Hajide's NYA, I think I was there last week to submit a courtesy call. So we are hoping that in the coming days we will be able to connect and have an engagement with him. Same way we've also submitted to the Youth Employment Agency and a lot of ministries, Ministry of Employment and Labor Relations. We submitted and we didn't hear anything from them. There are a lot of the ministries that we submitted. Ministry of Agriculture.
So you are out there trying to...
But it's quite unfortunate that on the part of our gatekeepers, some of them are not getting back to us because there are significant engagements that we would want to put on, because NUGS has an agricultural policy, an agro farm that we are trying to roll out. And we wanted to engage with the Ministry of Agriculture, but it's quite unfortunate we've not heard anything from them. And a couple of other ministries, not just the Ministry of Agriculture, whom haven't given us any form of feedback.
Right. It is our 67th Independence Day celebration. How would you assess Ghana's growth and development? 67 years as a young person in this country. Let me start with you.
All right. So I think 67 years in Ghana has seen a lot of improvement. I will just list them when it comes to even education. Through J.J. Rawlings, we introduced FQ, which brought about the free basic school education. Through the processes, we came up with free senior high school, which has absorbed a lot of numbers from our basic school, because we felt that to be able to change the fortunes of this country, we must hugely invest in education.
Right.
And now we're having almost 800,000, moving to almost 1.4 million students from basic school to just the senior high school. So the educational sector has also seen a lot of improvement, despite the hitches that comes with it, that in the coming days we'll still be pushing for improvement. The other one also has to do with healthcare. I think in the past years before Kufuor, probably if you find yourself sick, it becomes quite difficult even getting funds for your own healthcare. So we introduced the National Health Insurance, which at a point, one or two issues coming up, but at it has also served the purpose in enrolling a lot of Ghanaians who have genuine issues with regards to their health and all that. I think we're also having...
is it working? Do you think? Have you used, when was the last time you used your national health insurance card?
It's been a very long time. But we are looking at the strides from Kwame Nkrumah days to even now. Despite the challenges that comes with it.
It's a step forward.
Exactly.
So,
Despite the challenges that comes with it, I think it's been quite okay from the time it was started till now. I think we do have a lot of issues confronting the national health insurance, but it does not really undermine its purpose of its establishment in those days. I think when it comes to our economic growth, we've seen a lot of improvement with regards to our GDP, even those times from JJ's time to now.
Okay.
Though for the past 8 years, for the past, let's say 12 years, we've been having a dwindling GDP. But from the days of independence till now, I think we've had 1 or 2 improvements despite the hitches that comes with it. I think we've also had a lot of infrastructural development. In the past days, we didn't have a lot of infrastructure. Various parties, NPP, NDC, and all that government have been trying to do their best in putting up infrastructure. Now we have a lot of, even now we have TVET schools we are bringing up, we have senior high schools, the E-blocks and all these kind of things sprouting out. Get funding most of our universities. Kumasi Technical University, former UDS, all came from these funds that now has been capped. So now it has put in a halt on all infrastructure development when it comes to education that we are still pushing for. In the coming days, there may be another picketing or quote-unquote a demonstration on why Get Fund should be uncapped. If Get Fund is not uncapped, then there will be no essence even leading the student front, because Get Fund is the main pivot that feeds all the branches of education.
Who are
in our
going on
country.
this demonstration?
Students in this particular country will be going on this demonstration or picketing. We are still in the planning stage. First of all, before we get there, we would have to do a lot of stakeholder engagement to see the practical steps that are being put in place to uncap Get Fund.
Are you the one leading this charge?
I'm the one leading the charge.
Okay.
If Get Fund is not uncapped, it will not rest as student in this particular country. So that's one of the key things we are also looking at, because now, when I wake up each and every morning, my nurses are calling me, my teacher trainees are calling me, my students are calling me. Just last year, almost 6,000 students from KNUST and University of Education, Winneba, nearly deferred their program because student loan trust fund was not able to pay them. And now when you get to any serious country in the world, one of the key places they don't joke with is their loan system. But when it comes to Ghana here, the amount of money the student loan trust fund is getting, it's not even more than 50 million cedis. Meanwhile, each and every year, the loan trust fund is supposed to pay more than 50 plus million. And the allocation is just 15. How then will we even be able to pay the student who depend solely on this loan trust fund? So in the coming days, all these things put together will be looked at. Lastly, we are looking at how we've studied that amidst the huge numbers that goes into free senior high school, it's just a few or just a quarter of them that are able to move from the senior high schools to even the tertiary institutions. So we are proposing that in the coming days we will start printing a proposal to the Minister of Education. If all the 46 plus teacher trainees could now be made full university, be autonomous. Now no teacher trainees should be affiliated to any university. Now we call them tertiary institutions. They should be autonomous. As they are reading their teacher training programs, the teacher training institution can be reading political science. A teacher training institution can be reading entrepreneurship. A teacher training institution can be reading chemistry, biology, what have you. And they'll be reading that so that to be able to accommodate most of our numbers. Since we say education indeed is the main agent that is going to cause the metamorphosis we want to see in our country, then we should be having all teacher trainees being autonomous. Okay. One last thing.
Okay.
You see, most of our teacher trainees now, they don't, when you write exams, you won't see your results till, let's say, level 300 because of the affiliation. If this autonomy is done, it will help in the tranquility of our academic ecosystem, just like the universities are also having. So if all these things put together are done, I'm pretty much sure in our educational sector, as we are even celebrating our 67 years of independence this year, we'll be able to change the narrative.
Right. I'll come to you, Said, for your own assessments. And although you've touched on economy, infrastructure, education, health, and although I have my own reservations, those are your assessments. So let's put a number to it. On a scale of 1 to 10, how would you rate Ghana's economy, first of all? How are we doing economically on a scale of 1 to 10, according to your assessment?
I'll give us 6.
6?
Yeah.
That's generous. Education?
Education, I'll give us, I'll give 7.
Health?
Health, I'll give 5.
Okay. Yeah. Infrastructure?
Infrastructure, I'll give 6.
And overall?
Overall, I'll give 7.
7. Ghana is performing well by 70%, according to you. That's interesting. Let me come to Saeed. It's time for you to do your own assessment, and then we can wrap up.
Sure. So
how do you assess this country as a young person living in this country, 67 years on after independence?
Thank you very much. By every strand of imagination, I believe that Ghana's independence is a mixed feeling.
Okay.
Because when Nkrumah stood on that podium at the Independence Square and declared our independence, I didn't think 67 years on he envisioned this Ghana. I do not think that all the freedom fighters that are big sis prior to their fight envisioned that 67 years down the line, this is going to be us. Just as Nkrumah would say, he believes that as Africans, there has to be an African solution to our problems. And 67 years down the line, I don't think Ghana has seen that. Going forward, I think that there could be more that should be done in different facets, just as President has said. But regardless, my only reservation would be for our security and intelligence, because that has been an area that Ghana hasn't fallen short. When you look at the West African states, the coastal states, for instance, the states are along the coast. Ghana is one of the states that have been able to maintain our sovereignty and our border security. And for that, I would commend the security agencies and the armed forces in general. Beyond that, I believe that all the other agencies have more to do, and that we never envisioned, our forefathers never envisioned this a Ghana for us, and that we should be able to do more.
Right. Let's put a number to it too.
Sure.
In terms of security, how do you rate Ghana's
security? I'll give them a 9. Maybe internal security, there are glitches in our internal.
You guys are very generous in your story. Wow. Okay. Nobody should ask me because I'm sure I'll go all the way down there. Okay, education?
Education. 6.
6. Health?
5.
Same as you did. What's the other thing? Infrastructure?
Infrastructure. 6.
Economy?
3.
Thank you, gentlemen, for joining us. It's been an insightful conversation with the president of NUGS, Cherima Opong Daniel.
Cherime
Opong Daniel. Cherime, president of NUGS, and Nazir Said Mohammed, executive secretary of NUGS, joining me for this conversation. It's a pleasure to have you.
Thank you very much.
Right. So